blood.
Yo, let's go. Episode 10 has finally finished. I watched it early though because somebody on the internet leaked it. So, I was super happy because I watched it like 5 times already this week. But guys, let's do it. We've got 8 people in the chat. It's great to see you all. Thank you all for being here. Last week we had red and green. This week we're all red because this week we are all Team Rhaenyra. Like, she nearly broke me this week with everything that she had to go through. Like, Jesus. Anthony Blaze. Naughty, 6 minutes late. TikTok. I have the intro so that my YouTube retention stays good at the beginning of the video. You know, YouTubers have this thing called YouTube retention and we have to keep it. Die Hard. There you go. You've just redeemed yourself. You said one of the best Christmas movies ever, and we're just leading up to Christmas right now, so it's going to be great. I can't wait. We've got loads of guests in tonight. I cannot wait to get everybody on. We've been going now, 7 minutes, so I guess we'll bring everybody on. We've got a full house, and we've got quite a cool thing that I've managed to get together. I've got together quite a few people that I have personally myself introduced to this world of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, and a couple of others that were already introduced to it that I've become friends with because of the show and stuff. So, hey, let's go. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Everybody in the chat, thank you. Literally too many people to mention each by each. That's why I've been bringing your stuff up in the intro. But we are just going to bring on our guests. And the first person I can see is my one good friend who has been here through all of the episodes, is always on time every single week, like every one of my other guests. And he also has a show on Sunday. Links are in the description. You can check out his live stream from yesterday where I was there breaking it down. But yeah, it's the only Headless Ned Stark.
What's going on, everybody? What's up, Ryan Milky?
I'm doing good. How are you, Headless Ned Stark?
Dude, I'm just still reeling from that episode. Watched it again today. Loving it even more. I know yesterday I gave out my ranking for the entire series or for the whole season, and I've actually brought that up a little bit. So we'll talk about that.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And there's loads of more people in the chat. We've got LJ's just popped in saying rest in peace, Leslie Jordan. Definitely. That guy always made me laugh. So funny. I've got Nick Bayer as well. He's in. Nice to see you, Nick. Thanks for being here. Yeah, let's get more people on. So the person that's next to you in the backstage is a person that I introduced to Game of Thrones, who started watching it himself. Before this show came on, House of the Dragon, he kind of stopped watching Game of Thrones. He only got to season 2 and he couldn't watch anymore. But I think, would like to know that maybe this show has revitalized it. So I am talking about the one, the only Pop in Missouri, Charles. We're going to bring him on. I brought him on early as well because I want to stay in his favorite books. You know, he's got the Grail NFT of Dany, and he's also a woodworker. So, we were talking backstage, weren't we, about how we want a table. So we're going to bring in the dude that could possibly make our dreams come true.
What's up, guys? What's up?
What's
How
up?
you doing, Charles?
I've been waiting all day for this.
Yeah, man. I didn't know if you were coming or not. I wasn't sure. We hadn't spoke, and then you messaged me earlier this evening saying, "Dude, what time are we going live tonight?" I was like, "Yep, let's do this."
Yeah.
And we've got a full panel tonight with the free StreamYard thing. So we've got 6 people on the panel, which is going to be great. So, quick question, Charles: how are you enjoying this show? Has it made you want to carry on watching Game of Thrones?
So I tried the other day to watch a couple more episodes. I think I got 2 more episodes done. And I don't know. I'm going to, now that I'm not watching this, I'm going to go back from the beginning, episode 1, season 1, and start from there again.
Mm-hmm.
And see if I can stick with it this time. Because I've honestly forgotten what was in season 1 already. So I'm going to go back, start season 1, and go through it. And hopefully stick with it this time. So,
cool.
Because I love this series. Can't wait.
And you're not going to get any argument from the 2 people that are with you currently on the stream. You know, we both love season 1, and it's probably the one season we've watched more than any of the others.
Nice.
So definitely, I'd be excited to know how you enjoy it the second time around, and knowing now what you know with this show and the love that everybody has for it. And I'm sure you even like House of the Dragon. So, yeah, we'll get into it more. So the next guest that we have on is a guest that's been here before. She is a great friend of mine. She's a great friend of the channel. She has also been introduced to this show by me and loved it. We both sat backstage here on a StreamYard and watch the entire show from season 1 to season 8 of Game of Thrones. I left her on some cliffhangers sometimes. Like we'd be hanging out, I'd watch the Red Wedding, and then I'd be like, right, I've got to go now. See you later. And I would literally leave her with the thoughts and processing of the Red Wedding, which was pretty cool. But we all had that as Game of Thrones fans, didn't we? Because that's when the episode ended. So it was mad. But yeah, Baby Ice is our next guest, guys. We're going to bring her up. How you doing, Baby Ice?
Hello, everybody. I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, yeah. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you for being here. So are you just as upset as me as this season's coming to a close?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Horrible. I have other choice words I'm not going to use here, but I'm just going to go with that.
I asked you that specifically because you've been the one person on the panel that's had quite contrasting thoughts and feelings throughout the entire season. You've had great episodes, you've had really bad episodes, so that's why I was interested to know maybe whether you're excited or not for the next season, or whether you just
I'm ready to go. Like, let's go.
Fantastic.
But we're not gonna get it for a while, so I'm just gonna have patience.
Okay. Well, we are going to bring on our next guest. It's going to fill the panel. We have newbies to this live stream, to the House of the Dragon talk. They are two fantastic people in the community and are great friends of mine, a fellow horseman as well, and horse lady. So we are going to bring on Jeremy and Mitchie. We have the duo with us today. So here we go.
My queen.
Okay, put it in the now.
Well, wait, this is a solo
We found
thing.
a crown. This isn't. Oh yeah, no, this isn't a ring, guys. This is better. It's a crown.
Yeah, there you go.
That.
Oh, thank you for having us.
Thank you.
You're
But
very
I gotta
welcome.
go. But I'll be in the chat.
Yep.
Thank you for making an appearance, my queen.
Oh, see, now, Jeremy, that's how you announce me.
Mhm. Your Grace.
Anthony Blaze goes, woo, Jeremy is here, party time.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny Funko popped in as well. Thanks for being here, buddy.
What's up, Johnny?
Everyone's here, doing great. There's loads of people in the chat. So yeah, Jeremy, how are you feeling? I have not spoke to you publicly about this show at all. How are you feeling?
I found it very interesting because I loved Game of Thrones so much. And then I got into House of Dragon, and there early in the early in the season, it kind of got where I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to get really hooked into this or not. And I was a little bit waffling. I was on the fence. And then I can't remember which episode it was, but boom, I was straight on hooked. And man, I'm telling you what, I have not looked back. I can't wait to start it again and watch the whole thing all the way through. And then start rewatching Game of Thrones too.
Yeah, so you feel like you would enjoy watching Game of Thrones again now? Because I know that you once said that Game of Thrones was in that category where it's done and it's gone.
Yeah, I want to now because there's so much of, just like if I went back and watched those episodes that I thought I was kind of losing interest for House of the Dragon, if I went back and watched those now, knowing what they were setting up, they'd be 10 times more powerful. And I feel like the whole series of Game of Thrones would be the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree.
Yeah.
House of the Dragon definitely throws down your throat the prophecy, and I think it's kind of forgotten about in Game of Thrones, really, until the later seasons, and we start finding out about, you know, people's true heritage and stuff and parentage and stuff. So I don't know. I think it's definitely more prominent in this show, which I enjoy. Yeah. Does anybody else want to add anything about how they've thought this first season has gone so far before we get into the breakdown of episode 10?
Personally, coming from not enjoying Game of Thrones, it was amazing. When you started talking about it months and months and months ago, I'm like, okay, it's another Game of Thrones, you know, blah, blah, you know, whatever. I'm counting down the days. I'm going to get a calendar and let's go. You know, I can't wait for season 2. And like Jeremy said, I think I'm going to watch it again too. Because I'm sure there's things I missed. You know, I got distracted by other things, but this is one show that really sucked me in for sure.
I think it's an important thing to note, and I know you have multiple times, but I think it's a highly important thing to note that everybody I talk to that I say I'm watching House of the Dragon, they say, oh yeah, I didn't watch Game of Thrones, so they're not watching this. And you don't have to. No.
No.
Theoretically, you don't have to. You can watch this without watching that. One's going to drive you probably into the other,
Yeah.
but this stands on its own. No need to watch. This isn't a, this is series 2, so we have to watch series 1 kind of show.
Definitely. Carolina Chris just popped in and said he's actually watching episode 10 right now. But if we're live when he's done, then we'll be right back. Yep, definitely, Chris. We'll probably still be live. I've got about 55, 60 still images from the episode that we're going to break down the episode and go through. So I'm not going to rush it. This is the last one. I'm going to savor this moment as much as I can. I didn't want to hit live, if I'm honest, because it's kind of a dull moment to feel like, hey, this is over and now I've got to wait over 14 months possibly. I say 14 instead of 2 years because 14 months sounds a little bit easier for me than 2 years. Because we're already 2 months away from this year ending. Yeah. So,
the only thing that's saving me from totally being why HBO is that Jon Snow's coming out in January. So I will survive with that being involved. So.
I can't. I know I probably confirmed a couple of weeks ago that it was, but even deeper diving, I'm not 100% sure it is coming so soon. Yeah. But Headless does have information as well that Kit Harington is going to be signing in November and December.
Yeah, December.
December. So if he goes to a signing in America in December, who knows? He might have some special announcement news that he might drop.
Yeah, I personally think they're starting to film that in January, if I had to guess. I don't know how it's possible that it's already up and running, and no one knows anything about that. So personally, I think he's going to drop the bomb that the show's coming, and I think they're going to start filming in January, and I think we'll probably get that by the end of the year.
So you think we'll get maybe in conjunction, or just what should you think, just before or just after season 2?
No, I think we'll get it maybe next winter. And then we'll then House of the Dragon, we're going to end up getting, I think, like we mentioned yesterday, I think that'll be next in 2024, either April, May, or June. So I think they can run that every 6 months then, so they have they have different series, and we talked about there's an anime project in the works, so who knows where that will fall into place. But I just can't believe that Jon Snow show is already taped and ready to roll. I just can't believe that we haven't heard anything about it. So I don't know. I just find it hard to believe. I mean, I hope so.
Here first. Yeah, you heard it here first. If it drops in January, we'll clip Headless saying that in a short. And speaking of shorts, LJ popped in and he's left again. So thanks for being here, LJ. I know that House of the Dragon isn't your thing, but he says, as I leave, I'll drop this link. It's to his new karaoke short. So everybody, when you get a second, please check out LJ the Geek's channel. Great dude, great guy. Thanks for being here, LJ. So, guys, I'm going to tell you now that I have fallen. I would marry this series if I could. I have been so happy that we've had this show come on the air. And, I've always gone on and on and on and on and on about Game of Thrones on the Tuesday night with the Horsemen or whatever live I ever happen to be on. And I know people can get annoyed with it sometimes. And some people are like, dude, that dude never shuts up about it. But hey, I got House of the Dragon. It was a blessing from the 7 gods. It was given to us as true loyal fans, and I am not disappointed one bit by how this series has gone, and I can't wait to see where it goes in the future, because they have surprised me as a person who reads the book and has listened to the audiobook, that they're changing things and they're doing things differently. So I'm super excited to see where they go with it. But yeah, guys, I've got a slideshow, as I've been doing for the last couple of weeks. To save getting copyright strikes and stuff from YouTube, I just get stills of the episode and we go through it each by each. I haven't put any funny quips or anything on the pictures this week, so we've just got the pictures themselves. I've seen the episode 5 or 6 times, so I'm sure I'll be able to guide us through as any missed scenes that we might have. But if anybody has anything strongly that they feel that they want to say about this, then please just shout out, or don't feel like anyone's being rude or anything like that. I know that you're all American and I'm British, and I kind of do that quite a lot sometimes, and I don't realize it. So please, guys, feel free to just say anything you want or anything you may feel going through it.
Deal.
So yeah, let's get into it, guys. Anyone add anything extra before we go?
Yeah, real quick. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, let's go.
Oh,
I'm ready to dive in.
I just have a really quick show and tell, if that's cool. So this came in the mail today, and this is my personal grail. And I did promise my wife I would stop collecting after I got this, but I'm not sure if she even knows I got it yet.
She doesn't watch these streams. It's okay.
Yeah, I know, right? So I did pick this up today.
Oh my god!
Yeah.
How pretty.
So I got that.
Just that is
2013.
I like on that show.
And I just made an unboxing video, which I'll be dropping after the stream. But if you are in the chat, you are getting the first look right here. And it's a nice box too. I took it out and inspected it. There's one little corner, but beside that, man, I'll tell you what, it's a pretty nice piece. Considering that in New York Comic Con when I was up there was one for like $1,500, and I paid way less than that. Way less. Like I'm talking like 40% less for this, and this is much nicer. So I'm glad to finally have this piece. I've been waiting a long, long time for it. So I just wanted to share it here on Ryan's stream. So
there's some really cool stuff on the back of his shirt. I heard you should take it out of the box real quick.
Yeah, definitely.
That's in the old $30 pop protector. So that's UV protected, and supposedly they're unbreakable. So there it is.
So we're not going to see the back of his shirt? Is that what we're saying?
We're not probably going to see the back of the shirt.
Ever.
Ever.
So you said that was delivered today. Was that the Brinks guy that delivered it, or?
Right.
It's funny because I have a front door camera, and I saw a package get delivered, and it was like about 11:30 this morning, and I'm like, so I text my neighbor. I'm like, hey dude, can you go get that package that just got delivered? And he goes, he's like, yeah. He's like, I'll just hop over there real quick. I'm like, okay, cool. And he goes, dude, it's just like from Ultra. I'm like, what do you mean Ultra? He's like, it says like women beauty supplies. It's not even, your name's not even on it. I'm like, oh no, that you can leave there. I thought it was something different.
Yeah, it's Ultra Beauty. I know what that is.
So I saw it did get delivered at 3:30, but I was on my way home already. So I was able to get that, and so I'm pretty excited about it.
Cool.
Yeah,
awesome.
That's awesome.
Thank you for showing that on my stream. That's amazing.
Oh,
I don't know how my slideshow is going to follow that, but hey. Oh wow! Like, I've never seen it in real life, let alone see a friend hold it. So for me, that's, I don't know. It sounds weird, but that's one step closer to me owning it because I know a friend who has owned it. So it's realistic, Yeah,
it's a badass looking pop. Like when you like, and it's hard to do on a camera, but like when you really look under there and you see kind of like the head, and I don't know how good you guys can see that in camera, but it's pretty cool the way they constructed this pop. You can kind of see the hole there a little bit, but yeah. So it's pretty badass. But yeah, that's probably now my number one. So it's close though, because Robert Downey Jr. having him sign my Iron Man is pretty awesome. But
I was going to say nowhere to go but down from here.
Yeah. Well, that's why I told my wife, I'm like, I guess I'm done collecting. What else do I need to do?
Right. You need to go to Hot Toys now, right?
What'd you say?
Go to Hot Toys now.
Yeah.
The price of one of them headlesses nearly.
Oh God, I could buy 3 of them. But
definitely. So let's get this live show under the go. Let's get this House of the Dragon episode 10 slideshow. So Jeremy, I don't know, you've probably caught a couple of the lives, but this is probably the first one that you've been a part of. So we just have episode. Usually I've had clips and stuff on there to make people laugh. At this time I was just too busy watching the episode over and over again for some reason.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, so the episode starts with us seeing the table, which was not lit this time. It looks fantastic as always. It's still in the same place that it was in the original show in Dragonstone, and we see. Now I get these names wrong. So this is Lucerys, correct?
That's Luke.
Yeah, that's Luke, and he is pondering over what was told to him in a previous episode by Lord Corlys, how he would be the King of Driftmark, and he would be the next in line. And you can see here that he's pondering over it, and he's kind of touching it physically and feeling like, hey, this one day this is going to be mine. And his mother comes in, And I don't know. It was kind of a nice way to start the episode. I think it was obviously foreshadowing what was coming at the end, because he called her perfect, which I just completely disagree. I don't believe that she is perfect at all. I think that she is also at fault as well as others in this show, to be honest. So yeah, Headless, how did you feel about the start and opening episode?
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I feel like so far we have not seen enough of her relationship with the kids. We've seen them kind of argue with the cousins. We've seen the kids. They had a little time with what's his face, Harlan Strong, which now at this point we know that is their sons, or I'm sorry, their father. At least the theories out there. Most of them are their father. But so it was nice to see like the little interaction between Rhaenyra and the kids, because I just feel like, again, just because of the way the season has gone, and it's kind of been, again, I don't want to say rushed, but like the time jumps have been like so large. I just feel like we never really saw that mother-son relationship. So I really enjoyed the opening scene here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. What about anybody else in the panel? Anybody else have anything to add to this opening scene?
I think, to your point, you said, she's far from perfect. I think she made that point herself, where she said, I'm definitely not perfect. Because I think I agree with you where you're going with your thoughts on that as the show continues. There's a lot of fault to go around, and I don't think she's any less culpable.
More so, I do have prior knowledge of what's to come, but I also think with stuff that we've already seen on this show, she's been adamant that her children are heirs, but she knows damn right that they're not legitimate. She
Correct.
knows that they're not legitimate, but she still holds on to this holier than the thing that they, that she's right and that they should be on the throne. It's not really.
Well, and it goes to that undertone that at the end of the day, it all comes down to power, no matter how genuine and sincere and nice and wonderful and shiny these people are. It all comes down to power. She's not going to relinquish power because her kids are illegitimate any more than, I just think it comes down to that.
Mm-hmm.
Just as the queen's, wanting to bring her kids up, overtake the throne. It's just all about power. Everything is.
Yeah. Charles, Baby Ice, anything else you want to
add? I agree. She admitted she's not perfect. None of them are. Like Headless Ned said, with the time jump, we never really saw interaction between her and the kids. We saw them born. We saw them a couple years, and then boom, boom, boom. Now they're adults, basically. So,
Yeah, I've seen more of a mother side from Alicent than I have from Rhaenyra, and there hasn't been much from her either. But I have seen more of a mother from Alicent.
But the interesting part with Alicent was when she was holding the baby, it was screaming and crying the whole time, and then she finally just passed it off, and immediately to the caretakers, and baby stops crying. Like, I never felt like she had a connection with those kids. She was always either in their face yelling at them or telling them what they needed to be, versus being a mother to them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and to play off what Jeremy's saying, she always see it was all duty. It wasn't anything loving that she cared about her kids. It was like, you got to make sure you go this way so you can take over. It just wasn't. I never got that motherly vibe from her, and she always seemed unhappy whenever she was around her kids. Like, I don't want to be here.
Do you think that's because of her upbringing with her mother not in the picture? Whatever happened there, and Otto bringing her up the way he is, and that's what she took as being a good parent is,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and plus he basically was the puppet master from the beginning. He was the one forcing her even to go to Viserys. He's like, hey, you gotta do this. Go comfort him. It's always like.
Yeah. In the books as well, it's referenced that Alicent also went and tended to Jaehaerys, the old king, when he was older as well. Alicent would tend to him when she was a lot younger too.
Oh,
So,
really?
Yeah, that was also a book thing that was never included in the show.
Hightower was shady before I even knew he was shady.
Yeah.
You could just tell. Yeah.
So then we cut to the next scene, and we hear from the guard that Rhaenys has landed on Dragonstone. She's landed back from last episode where she flew away from the crowning of Aegon and all that crazy stuff that went on last week. And she's standing, I don't know why she's standing so far away here to give the sad news, but then she comes closer to give the war news. I thought it should have been the other way around. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, she informs Rhaenyra that her father is dead, the King Viserys is dead. We all, I think they kind of must have known that last week because he was on his deathbed,
Yeah.
you know? And it kind of gave me a little bit of a weird inkling this week when obviously we cut to these scenes and we have Rhaenyra looking quite upset and Daemon looking quite puzzled. Like, he kind of flipped this episode for me. You hear him in this episode say and question how Viserys was killed, and he thinks that he was slain and he was murdered and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, dude, you just saw him last week. He was crippled, basically. He couldn't get out of his bed. So I don't understand where he got that from. I know that that's the fire in him and the blood in him. And I don't know, did you guys notice that difference?
Well, to me, that's where I'm a little bit confused because he was just at that family dinner, prior to that episode. He was at the family dinner. He seemed to be doing okay. And then all of a sudden, Allison tends to him. And then all of a sudden, he's gone. So I almost feel like he had a point there. Like, well, what happened? Because he was okay when we left. What all of a sudden changed it,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he was okay.
Right.
He was still pretty bad.
Right.
But he did, yeah. I mean, the whole idea was because he came into the hall and spoke his piece about, who the successor was and the whole deal. And so he was showing signs of, and her whole plan was to take the kids home and travel back by dragon. So I thought, it all, but I got to tell you, Rhaenys she just came in and ripped it off like a Band-Aid. I expected a little bit of, like, I've got some news I got to tell you. No, she was just like, your dad's dead. Boom.
Considering that she didn't have many lines at all in this episode, she crushed every scene.
Yeah,
she barely talked.
Yes.
Yeah, I was kind of put off sometimes with the facial expressions that she was doing. I didn't think they kind of matched the scene, but after watching it over and over and over again, they do. And you notice other things. It's things that are said before it cuts to her smirk that you realize why she's smirking, and it's like, oh, okay, I understand. I think I might have got a shot earlier when Daemon says we have this dragon, this dragon, this dragon, and he mentions hers, and then it cuts to her, and she's like, I haven't actually quite said you've got my dragon yet. So she didn't say anything, but her facial expression said it all.
I thought, because I remember you saying that on the stream last night, and I kept thinking, I saw it differently. I absolutely loved her facial expressions. I thought it told a whole story without talking. Like, I thought there was so much to be read into.
Mm-hmm. Chris, you're watching the episode right now. I don't know if you've got me on mute or anything, but we might go past you on your time. I'm not 100% sure, but just please be careful that I don't spoil anything for you, because I have broke this episode entirely down, and I don't want you to be 5 minutes away from the ultimate scene at the end and then you see it on the screen, because that would be a bummer. So yeah, the news of her dad dying and Aegon taking the throne and then crowning him in front of the masses gives Rhaenyra some paternal pains, because she's clearly pregnant and she's not ready yet. The bun in the oven isn't quite cooked, as some would say. So yeah, did you guys expect this? Did anybody expect this to happen, that she was going to miscarriage?
Mitchie did.
I didn't think she was gonna. I knew. Because as a woman, I know if you get stressed under a pregnancy, it might lead to that. But I didn't think it was going to be like, boom. You literally heard it, and then boom, it was like that. You know what I mean? It was just like instant. And I mean, I've never seen something like that happen, at least not for me personally. So I was like, what the hell is going on?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I know she just got some bad news and she's stressed. But, usually that'll take a little bit of time. But I was like, wow, that went quick. So.
Well, Ryan, Mitchie called it. I messaged you earlier in the week and said, this is what Mitchie thinks. And I was like, I bet her $100 it wouldn't happen. Well, it happened. I was wrong.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Heather, what about you? Your thoughts on the whole baby
Yeah,
thing?
I definitely wasn't expecting it. Because, again, with the timeline, it didn't seem like she was even really that close. But when you hear the information she heard, I mean, that kind of gets things going. And yeah, as soon as she started not feeling very well, I just had a feeling that that's what was going to happen. And I wasn't expecting to see the baby fall out like it did, but it was pretty graphic. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense though. It makes sense. And that was like for me, almost like step one of because again, they didn't really know what happened with Viserys. Like, I guess we assumed that he died because of his disease or whatever. But right away, Damon's like, "Oh, it was Alicent." It was obvious, and that probably got her thinking. And yeah, I mean, it's all about the stress. So that to me is like step one of what happened there that got her, kind of going into I'm gonna be the queen, so Queen Rhaenyra mode is what I like to call it.
Yeah.
Just go back to a shot here. This shot I put amazing. Damon angry as hell.
Yep.
Brilliant photograph. Go ahead, Jeremy. Were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, and Mitchie had pointed out, and I do agree actually that yes, he was not well, and maybe that was his last hurrah. I know that that can happen, but at the same time, she did sit on the edge of the bed and pour that poppy down his throat. So, was it too much? Did she? I mean, do they have a legitimate thought that she could have been slain? Maybe.
Maybe. I just think he is looking for a reason to fight.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's what I get from him. Like, even if you tell him that it was innocent, and he's going to try and find a way to turn it so it wasn't.
I mean, even if she did, it was just speeding up the inevitable. Like, he was days from end regardless.
Mm-hmm. And I want to let everybody know I didn't get any graphical shots of the baby or anything. I know that can be quite an upsetting thing for people to see. I'm quite shocked with the scenes that we did get, to be honest, because as a book reader and as an all-seeing, all-knowing, three-eyed raven of Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, I was expecting, if we were going to see something, we would have seen something very different. Like in the books, the baby is scaly. It has a dragon's tail. It kind of has stumps like dragon's wings that aren't quite fully formed, and it's pretty crazy in the book. And then what we actually got in the episode was quite graphic, quite disturbing. And I don't know if people noticed, and I know it's not something that people would have paused and looked at for long, but the baby was missing arms, it was missing a leg, its head was deformed, and yeah, it was pretty crazy. But I don't know if anybody wants to speak on like how moving that might have been, or how crazy it was to see that kind of stuff on TV. Like, this show's been all about punishing children, I believe, from the start of it to the end of it. It's been the children facing the punishment for the sins of their parents.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. I think it went a bit too far this time.
I mean, I'm not surprised by the graphic nature. This show has been incredibly envelope pushing on the graphic side of it. And I think that certainly from a book standpoint, the graphic nature of the book makes better sense to me, is why they would describe it so detailed. So I think it has to have some sort of important impact on the show, and therefore they had to show something. They just didn't take it quite as far. I mean, they could have gone a hell of a lot more graphic.
Yeah, they could have.
I mean,
and here you see Damon upset.
I almost wish they would have added the tail, because in all fairness, that wouldn't have made it so realistic just to see a baby just there. You know what I mean? At least if it would have had a tail, it wouldn't have been, at least for me, as the heart of a hig.
It would have disconnected you from real life, and
right.
It would have made it something more fantasy.
Right. I mean, right. So I wish they would have actually put that in there, because for me that would have been easier to watch than what that was.
I don't mean to keep beating this dead dragon, but now that I see that, Mitchie says in there, that's true. When they were all sitting around the table as a family, they were talking about the succession to the throne and how it was all going to play out. And the only thing that made sense was he couldn't die when Rhaenyra was there. So the moment she left is when Allison sat on the edge of the bed and gave him his final drink. And she needed Rhaenyra to be gone, to have that time to lock it down, to get her son chosen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think there's a leg to stand on. Again, I don't know that it matters, but again, I think there's a leg to stand on that she took him out.
Yeah,
Definitely. So we cut to the scene while Rhaenyra is in birth mode. We cut to a scene with the two boys fighting out on the beach, Jace and Luke. And I paused it at this scene to get a photograph because I know that a lot of us have been talking recently about the parentage of the older boy of Rhaenyra. I believe it isn't a book thing. I believe that the father is Kristen Cole because we saw in one of the very early episodes that she slept with Kristen, and he looks different. And in this scene, I think it cemented it in my head for me because here you see him being aggressive in a fighting stance. You see him being a bully, and that's exactly correlates to Kristen Cole in previous episodes. I don't know. What do you think, Headless? Do you now see the? I know you've always thought this maybe, but do you see it from this scene in particular?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, he's obviously the older one, so you would think that he's probably better with the sword. Who's the dude to the far left? I'm trying to put a name to that face over there. Do we know who that is?
No, I do know his name, but I don't know off the top of my head. I will get it from the character guide though if he's in there.
Is that one of the guys that
Daemon takes to swear?
Daemon. Okay, that's all I was thinking. That's what it kind of looks like. But yeah, I mean, I've always been partial with Jace. Jace's father being Kristen Cole. I think it makes sense. I think down further down either season 2, season 3, whenever they want to reveal that, I just think it makes for more drama at that point. It's a little unfortunate. I guess we didn't see much of the Greens anyways in this episode, but again, I just keep saying I just want him to do more. So I'm really hoping in season 2 that Kristen Cole is going to do more. I just feel like he just stands around and doesn't do anything. But I feel like he could be a really important character. But yeah, so I mean, I'm there's nothing that's happened in the last couple episodes that would make me feel that he isn't going to be his father. Because right now, I might be 90% sure he is, unless they totally throw a curveball and they just don't even bother mentioning that. So. Yeah,
and Charles, you're not cast for season 2, are you? So you're not going to be his father, are you?
No,
because you've always wanted Kristen Cole to be his daddy. So you might have been like, "Hell, I'm going to do it." I'm sure you'll be happy to find out that he might be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At the beginning, I was really, really pro Kristen Cole, and now I'm like, I don't really care. But yeah, I think he is as well. I think with everyone else here.
So again, it isn't book canon, but allow me to predict maybe that we get to a point where Rhaenyra maybe wants to put him on the throne as her successor because she says it in this episode, and then the only way to stop it is Kristen Cole admitting that they once had sex and that he could be the father, and that would legitimize that claim. Maybe that could be something that they do, that Kristen Cole has that over her and she doesn't even realize it because it was so long ago. Maybe she doesn't even believe that he is hers. That he is Kristen Cole's. I don't know. It'd be something to ponder maybe going forward.
You'd also have to play it out to see, because it could go either way. If whether Kristen then becomes loyal to, kind of switches sides to be with his son, or whether his son
Mm.
kind of switches sides to be with his father. Because
Yeah.
that could go either way. It's sort of a Star Wars analogy with
Luke, I am your father.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it could go either way, where he could turn to the dark side or stay.
And Game of Thrones aren't afraid to chop someone's hand off. So yeah,
No.
it could all connect.
Yeah.
Now, see that I don't think he would actually leave Rhaenyra to be with a guy that never has even been around him his entire life.
I mean,
That's the only thing I'm leaning towards with loyalty, because he seems to really care about his mom. So I don't think he would just up and leave for a guy that he barely saw once when he was younger, and then they separated after that. So,
yeah. I mean, never underestimate the person's desire to meet their mom or dad, but at the same time, also it'll depend on how it plays out with Rhaenyra, because if she becomes more like her father and he is more like Daemon, or more aggressive and more questioning his mom's leadership, why are you not fighting, then that could drive him away too.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or
Hey, Ryan,
he could just never
Ryan,
know.
Ryan, real quick, pull up Mitchie's comment there, because that's interesting, because I don't remember it ever being said.
I don't either.
Yeah, so I'm curious, because I always thought she didn't do it, personally, and that's why I think it was Kristen Cole's kid. But obviously, she does drink that. But I don't remember, because I feel like in that episode there's a time jump right afterwards, so we never really find out.
I've got it in my head that she didn't drink it.
Yeah,
That's what I thought. Yeah.
But that's what Mitchie's saying there. I thought they said that she didn't drink the special drink.
if anyone can find that moment where it happened, it'll
Yeah.
be Mitchie, and she'll bring it up. So we'll stay tuned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not
Perfect.
sure if
And
they
then-
ever actually said anything, because I know there's a time jump after that.
Right.
Mhm.
That's why I always wondered into that episode if we're actually going to find out if she did drink it, because I don't think we ever actually did.
Yeah. And I paused it at this scene as well, because earlier in the episode, Luke was saying to his mother Rhaenyra that he didn't want to be king, and that Corlys was going to die soon. He didn't want to be the owner of Driftmark. And then she delivers news to him that King Viserys has died, and his reaction is kind of like, 5 minutes ago I was pondering about my uncle passing away, and now this guy's passed away. Like, what's going on? He seemed all confused. He is definitely the younger of the two, as you can tell with their personality and their mannerisms and stuff. But again, this scene here, Viserys looks so. I don't know. I can't think of the word. He doesn't look right. He doesn't. I don't know. He has the look of malice, I think. Anybody else see that? Or am I just seeing things?
I think Jace has more, even though obviously he's not biologically Daemon's. I think he has more tendencies towards Daemon.
Yeah, you can see that in his eyes.
100%.
Yeah.
And he's not afraid, is he?
No,
He even says, "Leave Daemon to me."
if he would have been at the other spot, not to jump forward, that outcome would have been different.
Yeah.
Now, see, if we go off the fact, if he is actually Kristen Cole's kid, I think that's where the anger comes from. I mean, because how many times have we seen Kristen Cole snap, and he's just demonic when he does that? So it's like, if that's what it is, I would think he would get it from Kristen more than anybody.
And I would agree, it would be both in that nature nurture thing, where like he's got it genetically from Kristen, but then he gets it reinforced through his upbringing with Daemon. So yeah, I think it could be both.
Mm-hmm. And this is where she tells him, Rhaenyra tells Jace that you are my next in line. Naught to be done without my word, without my say so, because I'm on the birthing bed. I can't go to war. We've heard all this stuff happen. You are now my eyes and ears, basically, because you are the future of this realm. And maybe in the future we might see her passing on the prophecy to him. I would like to see that conversation she tried with Damon in this episode, and it didn't kind of work. So maybe talking to him might work, you know? I don't know, maybe if Damon had took that conversation a bit differently, she might have leaned towards passing it to Damon. I don't know if she could do that or not, but I definitely got, like, here, if I had more time today, I had an idea of putting him in silver armor and making him look like Kristen Cole in this scene, because he's standing to attention. He's standing, you know, they just point at it so much in this episode, I think. I don't know. But
You're
yeah,
right.
so then, yeah, go ahead.
Real quick, can you go back 2 slides really quick? Okay.
You done?
I took a snap. I'm
Okay.
gonna put him and Kristen Cole next to each other. I just gotta find a clear picture of him now.
Cool, go for it.
Now, while we're back on that, is it me or does anybody else think that Kristen's hair is darker than Harold Strong's? Arwen
No.
Strong's. No.
I don't think so. We kind of looked at that yesterday, and we thought it's hard to tell.
I
But
got confused because I was like, well, I thought Kristen Cole's hair was black. So when I look at this, I would think this. I thought the one with the black hair was the oldest. But I'm like, now that I'm like, I don't know. Because me and Brian had talked about it last night, and I was like, it just looks to me like his hair is darker than what that kid's hair is.
Yeah, I do see your point with the hair color, but I looking at the photographs that we saw, I do feel like Harwin Strong's hair was very dark, very, but not. I don't know. I still believe that the oldest boy of Rhaenyra is Kristen Cole's. So.
Right, that's
Jace.
just the only thing that always threw me off was just I'd always thought Kristen Cole's hair was black. That's what it looked like to me. So when we got here, I was like, oh, well, Harold has, Harwin has brown hair, Kristen had black, and I always thought the smaller kid was the oldest. So that's where I got confused yesterday. It's like, what is that?
Basically,
And they do that with the Greens, don't they? The smaller of the boys, Aegon and Aemond. Aegon is smaller, but he's older.
Yeah,
so, you know.
That's where I was like, oh, what is happening?
But definitely stay tuned to Headless's channel, because it looks like he's working in the background to give us a comparison video. So definitely stay tuned for what Headless brings on Kristen Cole and old boy Jace. So here we have him going into the room, and Daemon is, his wife is giving birth to his child, and he is in this room already plotting war. He's already planning to murder some people and to start some shit. And Jace comes in and he says, "You don't do anything without my mother say so. She's giving birth. You'll wait till she gets here." And I wanted to stand up and praise the boy, because I was like, "How well done. You stood up to Daemon. That would have been a hard thing to do, because, yeah, you've got the cojones." Exactly. He had the massive cojones that it took to do that, because I don't know if I could have done that. Seeing what Daemon did to Vaemon, slicing his head off and all that kind of stuff. The guy is literally like a light switch. 1 minute he's really cool, the next minute he's losing the plot. Mitchie says here he used to not snap until Rhaenyra denied him. Which is true. It's just crazy. But then we move to the next scene where Daemon tells Jace, "Come with me and I'll show you what true loyalty is. I'll show you loyalty at the right thing." And he gets the two Night King's Guards, which now I think they should be called Queen's Guards, because there's a queen, not a king. And Caraxes. I had to get a shot at Caraxes because he's brilliant. One of the most awesome looking dragons. Like, to make him stand out, to give Daemon of all people a dragon like this, just it fits perfect. What do you all think of Caraxes? Have you all fallen in love with Caraxes over the season?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I've always loved the dragons. So, I mean, look at him. He's like, come on, mess with me, people. I'll pour fire on you.
So for you, Charles, you watched Game of Thrones a little bit, so you didn't have any dragon preconceived thoughts going into anything, because you haven't seen them in Game of Thrones yet.
No.
So this show kind of really does throw it right in your face because you get some nasty big ass dragons.
Yeah.
So which out of all the dragons, which one would you say you're liking the most that you've seen? If you can remember the names, I'll forgive you if you can't.
Either this one
Mm-hmm.
or Corliss's wife, Rhaenyra.
Melees or Caraxes?
Oh,
Melees, yeah.
Okay, so you like red dragons?
Yeah.
Okay, because Melees is the red queen, and Caraxes is the red bloodworm, which is pretty cool. And in the books as well, it is hinted that Caraxes is a deformed dragon because dragons interbreed with dragons, and he is a deformed dragon in the sense of his long neck and stuff like that. So it's it's good lore to break down sometimes and get into that. I'll probably be able to do a whole hour-long feature-length video on just Caraxes himself. He's a pretty cool dragon. And then we have another cool shot here. Fantastic shot. I want this as my screensaver for my PC. I just love it when they give Daemon powerful lines and powerful text to use, especially with the dragon. I'd like to see also behind the scenes footage of this kind of moment because obviously the dragon isn't there. It's just a guy on a green stick.
mm-hmm.
It's pretty cool. But and he says a line in this line as well. He says a line that correlates with Dany in Game of Thrones. He says that I will burn you all to death. That line that he says there is literally what Dany says when she's talking to Samwell's father and brother in the show.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a real good callback to that as well. Does anybody want to add anything about Caraxes before we move on?
I do think I have one other dragon that I really, really dig, but we're not there yet. Like, might rival my favorite, but I don't know that I've seen the whole. I don't know how
You haven't seen them all yet.
Correct.
I don't have a question about a dragon, but I do have a question. If basically the whole city was on lockdown, how is the King's Guard just able to go everywhere? Because remember when they locked everything down and they were like, okay, we got to get preparations made. Nobody's going nowhere. How did all these soldiers just miraculously just show up everywhere?
What soldiers? They haven't got many soldiers in Dragonstone.
Like these two, and then Eric shows up. So they were all allowed to leave.
Well, Eric left King's Landing at the moment that they were fighting on the steps last episode. Mm-hmm. He sees his brother fighting with Kristen Cole and he walks off. That's him pronouncing he's left the scene and he's on his way here. Because when you see him leaving with Rhaenyra, when he gets her out of the castle, he has a satchel bag on him. Well, in that episode, in that bag is the king's crown that he then presents to Rhaenyra in this episode.
Okay, so he escaped. But what about the other ones? So they just escaped, I guess?
There's only two here, and there is like 6 King's Guard always on duty in Dragonstone anyway, because it's a royal seat.
Okay, got it. So now they just leave the city? I'm so confused if it was on lockdown.
So Headless, I know you're working in the background doing stuff, but
no, you're good. Go ahead.
Caraxes. I want your thoughts on Caraxes. I want what you've been thinking about the dragon.
Yeah, I mean, Caraxes right now is probably like my third favorite dragon. We've probably seen him probably the most, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple I like more, but dude, like Caraxes is just a badass. Like he just looks like a badass, and I do like the long neck because it does make him look different. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm digging him.
Cool.
I think he matches Daemon's personality so well because that dragon just looks like he's just.
He almost looks like Daemon a little bit.
I know, right?
Right? That's what I was thinking too. Man,
I also want to urge everybody, if they are going to go back and watch the series and enjoy it again, put earphones on, please, because the sound design of these dragons are unbelievable. You hear the dragon 3, 4, 5 seconds before you see it. In every one of these scenes, you hear it with the slight hiss in the background, and especially Caraxes, he's got some crazy noises coming out of him. And I listen with earphones in. People have these massive TVs with the speakers and all that kind of stuff, and it's really cool. But unless it's in your head, it's not the same. Mm-hmm. So I definitely urge people to listen to it with headphones on because it is fantastic. I'd catch a couple of people in the chat as well. Reef dropped in saying here for Milky. Thank you, Reef. We've got Flipcake Designs in as well. Flipcake, thanks for stopping in. We've got Simon Crook, he's in too. Thanks, Simon. We appreciate everybody being here.
What's up, Sam?
And yeah, let's keep going. We are on slide number 19. So here I paused another picture of a dragon because these were very quick shots within the birthing scene of Rhaenyra. And for me, as a book reader, and again, a three-eyed raven, of all things, House of Dragon and Game of Thrones, I was expecting the baby to have a dragon's tail, as we've already spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
So seeing these shots of Syrax, because this is Rhaenyra's dragon here that we're seeing, it was enough for me to not have the tail on the baby because I got these scenes. You know, did everybody notice these scenes when they were watching? Was it shocking? Did it make anybody jump?
I just was confused on why they were happening, but then once you explained that in the book the baby was born with the tail, it totally made sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was like, why are they flashing a dragon when this is all going on? So, but once you said that, it made sense.
I just felt it showed the connection between the bond between the two, and how deep that was. And I think that you might have seen a stray from the book on that part, because if they were putting this in there and then the baby's born with a dragon, it might suggest something that's not approachable on TV.
Mm-hmm.
About
Yeah.
Subject matter that they're not going to do. So I don't think they wanted you to think that was happening, but just this showed that true connection between mother and dragon, or dragon and
he was feeling what she was feeling. Yeah, totally.
And Caroline Chris just let us know that he's 44 minutes and 40 seconds into episode 10. So I want to let him know to hold on to his hat and enjoy the ride, my friend.
And just breathe.
Crazy. So in the books as well, at this scene when Rhaenyra is giving birth and she is having this miscarriage, when you hear her shouting Daemon and you hear her shouting all these things when we're in different rooms, that didn't happen. But what she was shouting was obscenities and everything at Alicent. She was blaming everything at Alicent. She was screaming the house down, blue murder, that Alicent will pay, Alicent will die, all this kind of stuff in the books. So I don't know if they should have added that instead, but maybe we'll hold on to stuff going forward.
I wish they would have.
Mm-hmm.
Although it wouldn't have played out well, so no, maybe not.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, no. And I'm a bit scared as well, because I've told everybody all these things from the books, and now everyone's got to wait all this time for the next season, and I'm afraid that people are going to go and ruin it for themselves by reading this book or listening to it, because it does go into it, So, just be cautious, everybody, if you do go into it knowing that it will spoil the season going forward. But just know that the book is written from 3 different perspectives of people that were never there. It's their account of what happened. And then you take into the fact, if you watch the TV show, you can take that as actually really what did happen, Yeah. So it's kind of cool to have your own thought. Like, for example, when the baby is born and we see, like, she sat down. This is the only time in this hour-long episode that this woman sits down, by the way. I don't know if anybody noticed that.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're muted, Headless. No, I can't hear you. Your lights have gone out on your microphone.
I got it. Oh, sorry about that. So what did you say? Who sits down?
This is the first time Rhaenyra sits down in this entire episode.
Okay, that's what I thought you said. I just want to double check that. Yeah, no, that she never sits down.
Yeah, first time and only time. Yeah.
Yeah, she's a trooper. She really is a trooper. And we see, this is the only shot I got of the baby because it's wrapped up and stuff, and you can see enough to know what's going on. And here we see some emotion from Daemon, which I was nice to see. They actually cut some scenes out that I'd seen some stuff going around on the internet. There was supposed to be a scene of him with his sword in the sand, Dark Sister, and he walks out to the sea, and he's standing in the sea and the waves are crashing into him, and he's shouting all obscenities at the waves and all this kind of stuff. He's going crazy at it, and they cut that out. So I don't know why. It would have showed emotion for him. It would have shown a different side of him. I don't know why they cut that out. Would anybody have liked to have seen those scenes?
Maybe that's why. Maybe they don't want to.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to show that side of him after thinking about it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think they were trying to, I don't know, but I think they were maybe trying to show, because his last experience with this was his wife couldn't deliver the baby and then went and threw herself at the feet of the dragon.
Mhm.
And so there was some sadness from losing the baby, but also some relief from Rhaenyra surviving.
Yeah.
If he even has that ability, because to me, Damon's just kind of a sociopathic nightmare. Maybe doesn't have feelings in general.
Mhm.
But he's loyal and honest and whatever. Crazy.
Yeah, and Jeremy just brought something up then that we'll come back to later on in the episode that I wanted to bring up, that his previous wife was killed by her own choice, but was killed by Vhagar. You know, so there's one mark on Vhagar for Daemon there already, and then when we get later down the line, there's another mark. So it's interesting to think where that might go.
Yeah.
But yeah, we see here, I paused this shot as well because this is one of the few scenes that we see of the Silent Sisters. You see them in the very first episode of Game of Thrones when they are preparing the body of, what's his name? The first king that's dead in the first episode of Game of Thrones. Forgive me for names, there's that many of them.
Game of Thrones or House of the Dragon?
No,
Yeah.
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones in the very first episode, the king
I
that's
thought
dead.
it was Aegon, or no, the Mad King. Wasn't the Mad King?
It wasn't Aegon?
I don't remember. I really don't remember.
No, that wasn't the Mad King. Who was it?
You see them in the first episode and they're putting the stones on the dead body, and then you've got Jaime and Cersei talking in that room.
It was
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the one Jamie killed, right?
It could be Aegon then, yeah, the Mad King Ares. Ares, is it?
Ares. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So it was Ares. Thank you, Mitchie. Mitchie got it right too, the Mad King. And she said, why would they cut that out? Thank you, Jeremy. That's exactly what I thought.
She was talking about you having him standing in the ocean with the waves crashing. I agree.
Yeah.
I think it would have been a great scene.
Mm-hmm.
It would have been a great scene.
Yeah.
She says it's the unreleased scenes for the Blu-ray DVD box set. Do they still make those?
Yeah.
I would have thought they do. I don't know. Do they still make DVD and Blu-ray box sets of the series?
If HBO can make money, they will. Yeah.
Yep.
Do people on the panel still buy them?
I probably would. I'm old enough. I probably would.
I'll only buy it.
What it is.
I'll only buy it if it has a Funko Pop accompanying it, like my Game of Thrones season 5.
So going to this scene that we're watching,
Mm-hmm.
and the what just blew my mind was that she was there. She just was like, I got this. I'm going to do this. I'm wrapping the baby. I'm taking care of all of this, because that's not normally what would happen there.
No.
So
yeah, no, she does it all the way through the episode. The maidens want to help her. They even say, "Let us help you," and she swears at them and says, "Get lost." Yep. She did it all herself. I think she knew as well, though, that this probably wasn't going to go pretty well. She knew that it was too early, because even the Maester says this is too early, and she says it's fucking happening. You know.
Yeah.
She says that, so it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're past the baby scenes. Then we're going to come to this scene where
can I just say real quick?
Yeah.
Of all the things that have happened on Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon, like all the things that we've witnessed and seen through all of it, Mitchie was more blown away by the number of F-bombs that they dropped in this episode than anything else.
Yeah, they had fun with the F-bomb in this one, didn't they?
They took it and they ran with it and they repeated it often. Yes.
And I enjoy that. I personally do enjoy it.
I figure that's the way they talk. I'm surprised it's not more like that. So
yeah, and it's an acceptable thing in the UK. A lot of people do it, and the histories that George R.R. Martin writes about is very British history. You know, on a par with being real sometimes and historic. So I like that he adds these things in. It's definitely good.
This picture right here is powerful. This is the picture.
Mm-hmm. Are you ready, Headless? Do you want me to bring this up?
Yeah, go ahead, man. I'm curious to see what you guys think.
We are on slide 26, just for reference when we come back. We will move this down. Hi, everyone. Good seeing you all.
Hello.
Hello.
So, let's do this. And then if we do this, do we all go down the bottom? Yes, we do. Look at this.
What do you guys think?
Yep. Kristen Cole's hair is black. The guy in the bra is brown, and so is Harwin Strong. He's got a brown tinge.
So I'm still looking at his face. To me, it still looks like more like Kristen Cole, though. Like
He does look like Kristen Cole in the face. He's got the nose line.
Yeah, the nose. It's the nose and the eyebrows, man.
Yeah, and the rim around the eyes, from the nose to the eyes. I agree.
I mean,
the hair definitely does not match, like I said, like I was originally thinking. But again, I think this is like one of the first scenes we see with Kristen Cole. I was trying to find the most clear versions, like on Google, But yeah, you're right. If you look strictly at the hair, it definitely matches Harlan a little bit better, I think. It's interesting though. It's interesting. But
I don't want to downplay what we're looking at, but I would say it is a little bit unique in Game of Thrones that like all the kids have white hair and it never deviates and all that stuff. But in real life, just because one parent has one color hair doesn't mean the child's not going to have different color hair.
Yes.
And then B, it's tough because we are talking about, I mean, in all reality, we're talking about actors and whether they look like, which one they look like. This kid could be either one of theirs.
I know, right?
Perfectly. And it works into the storyline. So,
yeah.
I mean,
like you always wonder, like when they're doing casting, how much are they really looking at that? Like we're sitting here looking at like the eyebrows, and I'm like, and the chin structure. It's just
right.
How much are they actually doing?
To me, that kind of stuff shows more that it could be Kristen's, because they can dye the hair of a character.
True.
To make it look like, because that's probably a wig. Let's not forget, it's probably a wig that he's wearing, like Jason in the middle. Yeah. So they probably could have done that just to make us think and have this talk and this conversation, like, But he's got brown hair,
Right.
Right. Well, I'm only going off of Game of Thrones when they had that book, and it said hair brown, hair brown, hair brown.
Such a great scene.
So that's why the hair thing always stuck with me, because of the book from Game of Thrones. Because of how it was listed, it was all the same thing.
And then that turned into him. So when he did all that. Poor Ned, man. He was my favorite character.
So looking at those pictures for me, and this is going to sound weird, but looking at Kristen Cole and the boy, both of their eyes stare right through me into my soul. The other guy's like, "Hey, how you doing?" Yeah. That for me, that makes that it's Kristen's boy.
But that's because Kristen Cole is dreamy.
Yeah, he is. but
he's a dick, but he's dreamy.
Yeah.
Do we guys prefer it down the bottom here or across the side?
Oh, either way, it works for me.
You the boss.
Yeah,
I think the side, because you're gonna cut off part of the picture on the bottom.
Yeah. Good point.
Now, I give all this stuff for her anytime. I mean, she can have it all.
Just saying is all.
Just saying.
Bow to my queen.
Yeah, Carolina Chris, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. That sucks. That we're seeing that text.
Oh my God, you poor man.
Oh, he's seen it, guys. He's seen it. So yeah, this scene we see. I think this scene is from a little bit further into the episode, of course, because we see them all kneeling before she's crowned. But this scene, the crown fits her perfectly. It's fantastic. I love this crown so much more than Aegon's. I prefer Aegon. I like this crown on Rhaenyra, but I prefer Aegon's crown because of what it represents. Aegon's crown was the first original crown that was given to the conqueror Aegon, who landed in Westeros and started the Targaryen dynasty. So for me, that means more. But this was Jaehaerys' crown, and Jaehaerys was a peaceful king and all that kind of stuff. So, it makes sense that she's got it, but I don't know if she's going to be that peaceful, to be honest.
Well, she wears it well.
Yeah, she wears it very, very well. And Headless let me know last night, because I didn't catch this in the first 3 times of watching it, but Rhaenys isn't kneeling in this scene. Everybody here is kneeling. Her grandchildren are kneeling, but Rhaenys on the right-hand side here is standing on the rock. And I depicted this as she was proud. I predicted it as she was proud because she was never given this opportunity. She was overlooked as queen. So now she is observing what could have been instead of kneeling to it. That's how I took it. Because later on in the episode, we know that she gets her loyalty and stuff like this. So, I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think it was...
She feels she doesn't deserve this. So she's not going to bend the knee to somebody she feels doesn't deserve it.
See, I disagree with you. I think she does think she deserves it.
I disagree with that too, because if you watch her, she has a little smirk when, you can tell they're looking at each other. Like, yeah,
well, right now.
Yeah, you've done it.
At this point, she's still testing her out, but I'm saying in previous episodes, she was always against what she was doing. It was always wrong to her. And so, it was, she's looking at it like, well, she's not the queen I would have been. I didn't have all these illegitimate children. And, up until that point, that's what we saw her doing, is she was like against her the whole time.
They certainly had their differences. I immediately took it as loyalty to her husband and loyalty to the... It wasn't her kneeling in that moment would have been declaring sides.
Yeah.
And that wasn't her decision to make.
It was Corliss's decision.
In this world, it was Corliss's decision to make. So
did anybody check that guard didn't kneel either?
Yeah, but I don't think any of them do.
None of them did.
Well,
the two on the rock over there aren't kneeling either. They're just there to stand and be prominent.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
That's how I took it, and I think that's how it kind of played out. But then there's more to that, I think, down the road that we'll get into, I'm sure, in future slides.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. So we have here the Queen Rhaenyra. She comes in to look at the grandest and most amazing table in the Seven Kingdoms
ever.
Screw everyone else that's standing around it. Just look at that beautiful thing in the middle. It's amazing. But yeah, so last week we were graced with the episode The Green Council, and it was all about Alicent and her side of the story. This is Rhaenyra's council, and it's the Black Council. Everybody's wearing black. It's the Greens against blacks. I know that there was a lot of misunderstanding throughout the season, because they wear red, and why isn't it red versus green and stuff like that? Targaryen is prominently red, but no, this is team green and team black. And yeah, this scene was fantastic. Daemon kind of threw me off a little bit. I wish his voice was a little bit deeper, because he seemed squeaky in this episode. I don't know if anybody's caught that, but yeah, he in the books pronounces her as queen. He says the lines, protector of the realm, Seven Kingdoms, protector of the Rhoynar and the First Men, and all this kind of stuff. And he says that in the book, so I'm glad that he also says it here. And yeah, we're just going to cut through this scene, because she says, what do we have? What do we have? And the line he says we have, I don't have it to hand, but 300 men, was it? Or 30 men, 4 ships and 7 archers or something. Not a lot of people, to be honest.
Yeah.
And he was still adamant that they were going to defend what they had, because I don't know, it seemed pretty crazy. Did you all get the gist that Daemon's in charge here, or is Rhaenyra, sorry? He
thinks he's in charge.
We had a moment, Mitchie and I both had a moment where it was she's going to need to put him in his place, and I feel like she does, but
yeah,
we both were kind of like, Daemon's taking control of this situation, and she's not going to have that. No. It's not going to play out that way.
Mm-hmm. So Umpty had a question here, and he put, but who brought the crown from King's Landing? So the person that brought the crown, Umpty, was Eric. Which, headless answered for you. Eric with an E. Yeah, and Carolina Christian says, when he grabbed her by the throat. Yeah. Exactly. So he's talking here about the dragons also, and he's saying that they've got these dragons. It's 14-4. Did you guys think that was a massive jump?
I couldn't do the math. It didn't make sense to me, especially when he explained the dragons. It didn't add up to me.
Okay. Well, he's also counting dragons that aren't claimed. That's the thing.
Correct.
He's counting the 3. He's counting the 3 wild dragons that are in the story, and also dragons that are unclaimed, like Laenor's dragon, and stuff like that. Sea Smoke, the white one.
Mm-hmm.
He thinks I'm not 100% sure. I need to go back and check, but I believe he believes that Laenor is dead. I don't think that anybody knows that Laenor and his boy toy went away on that ship.
Yeah.
I think that was a decision that they made for themselves. I don't know. I get that feeling, because why hasn't anyone told Rhaenys about it? Why hasn't,
Right.
no one's told them about it to try and get them on their side? Like, hey, Laenor's not really dead. We just did that,
Yeah, and not to mention that a couple of those dragons, at least a couple of those dragons, are small. They're baby dragons, essentially. And then he talks about eggs that he has. Like, okay, well, we saw how long that takes to go from baby dragon to full adult dragon. I mean, we're talking significant amount of time. So when I started doing it, I'm like, okay, so we're really talking a pretty even match here, assuming the 3 untamed dragons aren't theirs. The unclaimed or the no rider dragons aren't necessarily going to join in the fight.
Well, one of those unclaimed dragons is one of that we're going to get to in this episode. I'm assuming might be one of your new favorite ones.
Yeah, hands down.
Yeah. So, how did you take Daemon in this episode, Headless? Did you, especially in these scenes when he was taking control?
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying. Like you're saying, he's not as hard spoken, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have a problem with how they portrayed him. I know in the books you had said that he's definitely more about getting blood and just going for it. But I don't have a problem with them changing the character just a little bit, because it gives him more depth, I think, in the show. I mean, I still think he's the best actor on the show. And and I like what they're doing with him. I mean, over 10 episodes, we've already seen him go from like episode 1 and 2, where I thought he was going to be the main villain. Now he's the one I'm rooting for, probably the most.
Mm-hmm.
So I love what they're doing.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I love Daemon. He's my favorite character in this show, and that's why I probably pick up on the little things that I do pick up on him more than any other character, because I'm more invested in him, my thoughts and my everything about him on this show is why I want to see more and more and more. I'd watch it if it was just Daemon,
Yeah.
I mean, he's a general at heart. Like when he was at the Stepstones in the beginning, his crew were calling him king. Like he's got that kind of command and control over his army or any army really, and people follow him in that way. And so I think his natural instinct is just to take charge and go after it. It's time of war. I'm your guy. Although she's sitting back going, wait, maybe it's not time for war yet.
And let us not forget that the infamous King's Guard, he gave them their gold cloaks.
Yeah.
That are so infamous in the original show. He gave them the gold cloaks. It was him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's brilliant. I love that they gave him that connection to that infamous power within the show, and protector as well. So here we have
the gold cloaks, not the Golden Company, right?
Yeah, the Golden Company are just a pathetic load of idiots.
No, it's so terrible.
Yeah. So here we have Eric, the twin brother of Arik. Eric comes and tells Rhaenyra that there is a ship sighted just off sea with a 3-headed green dragon symbol. And that's kind of like, whoa, what are you doing? First you're using our symbol. Like, you're not even Targaryens, really. The kids are, but Alicent isn't really. She's Hightower. So, it's kind of like, that's a kick in the teeth. And I didn't think that was where it was going. I didn't think we were going to meet Otto so soon. And I thought it was something to go towards the war, like they were coming at sea. But we then cut to obviously the next episode and the next scene. And I love this shot. Any shot of I've said throughout this series, the wide shots of the locations for me are the best.
Yep.
Because they are brilliant, and I would love to go to actual Dragonstone. Like, I know that they've built a lot of actual infrastructure within this show, like some of the stuff you can actually, the Red Keep, for example, in King's Landing is an actual place that you can go to and walk around, and there's hallways and chambers and stuff. It's not just a green room set. Wow. So definitely. And I like Blazer's comment there. He goes, Milky loves this show. He could talk about this for hours and hours.
Yep.
I really could. And I'm not sorry for it. I really not, because I've wanted to do this for so long, and this has always been what I've talked about. And I love that this has given me my niche for YouTube. So yeah, guys, what do you think of this scene? Like, we've been teased with this scene so much, haven't we? With this bridge scene, one of the best locations on set.
Deja vu.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's such a throwback to an earlier episode. It's fantastic.
I mean, it's like piece for piece. She flies in on the dragon. Damon's on the other side. Otto was there, but initially she was on that side trying to get the egg back from Damon. But now it's like reversed, and I'm like, this is awesome. But it was so deja vu.
Yeah, and this time she pins him down with the dragon. You know, she cuts him off on the other side. She pins him down.
Yep.
And it's good. I love what Otto steals the scene every time he's in it for me. He comes into this and he tells her and he tells everybody here that Aegon has the name of the Conqueror, the crown of the Conqueror, the sword of the Conqueror. He has every legitimate known right to be on this throne. He tells her that your birthright, your inherited right was taken away from you the moment Viserys had a son.
Yeah,
that was taken from you. And she, you know, what did you think about Headless? I'm going to ask this because you are a big Game of Thrones fan, and Jeremy too. You can, and everyone who's watched it. Did you feel he had too much of a loyal backing of the Starks? Like, when I watch it now a couple of times, he seems very sure that he's got the Starks on his side.
Yeah.
Otto.
Yeah, he seemed very confident in that.
Yeah, I agree. And
I don't know where he gets that from, because they've never broken an oath and they bent the knee for Rhaenyra.
Yeah, and I really hope they dive into that into season 2 because I don't want the Starks to be with Otto at all. Even though I love the character of Otto, like you said, they've never broken an oath, and I really hope they dive into that. Like, I just I don't want the Starks in this series, and I know it's about the Targaryens, and we kind of mentioned this yesterday, but I really don't want the Starks to just be like far background players in this. I want somebody to step up and do something for them. But we'll see. You know, I get it's about the Targaryens. I get it, but there's no reason why we can't have other characters still.
Yeah, we're gonna see where loyalties lie and all of that. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see, you know, which way the Baratheon house falls and which way the Starks fall, and you know what we think about that, because what we know from Game of Thrones gives us a little bit of insight as to what we can expect. I mean, it's 100 years or two, however many years before, but gives us some idea of what we can expect to happen in that relationship. But before we even
20 years away.
Yeah, but before we even get to that part, like, the thing that I loved about this scene was when she gets off the dragon and just walks through the middle of them like a boss. She's just like, crown on, I'm top bitch, I'm here to show you. And when he says something about King so-and-so, she's like, I'm the queen. I mean, she showed cojones that you don't see. It was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then she just rips off the pin too, which is the hand.
Oh, absolutely. Chucks it.
The hand pin. Yeah. That was great.
Traitor.
Not hand to the king anymore, are you? Because, you know, you could have Otto as the hand, Alicent as the feet. Sorry. I've had that joke in my head since Friday, so
I love
it. Definitely. And here we have everybody get this call back from the first couple of episodes where Rhaenyra pulls out the letter of the book. She pulls out the page to give it to her. So on this page, what it represents and what it's basically saying is there's a story that Game of Thrones might tell us, like HBO might tell us coming forward, because there's another series that might be greenlit. And it's the story of Nymeria, and she has all these ships and she goes on all these conquests and she wins. But in the show, without giving too many spoilers, because it might happen in a series one day, she has to choose, Nymeria has to choose whether to continue down the line that she's going or to give up her ancestral right to allow peace to continue in the realm. And that's what she does. She allows peace to continue in the realm from the story. So that's what this letter is now trying from Alicent to say to Rhaenyra. If you just bend the knee to us, it will all be okay. That's what this was meant to symbolize. I hope that helps with other people understanding what it meant, because I know a lot of people haven't got that knowledge of the show. But yeah, that's basically what it is. It's the story of Nymeria, and to link it to Game of Thrones, that's what Arya calls her direwolf.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, when I saw this, I just thought, you know, that was the page she tore out of the book in the beginning. and maybe it was like a symbolization that you and Allison were once friends.
Yeah.
And there's
Yeah,
a
it
way
is that as well.
to, let's just have it be peace. We can do this. But, they're all like, no. And so,
Yeah, it is that as well. It does represent that they were friends and stuff, and the stuff, and the memory of how they were close with each other in those couple of episodes. But the main thing on the page is the story of
right.
Nymeria's travels, and it's good that they link that because Arya was called her direwolf this, and then in the end she wanted to be a venturing adventurer like Nymeria once was. So it's pretty cool, and low key message from one to the other. Yeah,
I mean,
exactly, Caroline.
And it definitely changed the scene. Like I certainly expected her to fire the dragon on all of them and kill them instantly. I thought that's what Daemon would have done too. And it softened her heart for a moment, and not long enough to say, "You'll have my answer tomorrow." But again, it goes back to it also. That's one side of it. The other side of it is there's nobody in these shows that wants peace more than power. Because if they did, and again, this is a show I always talk about. If we
wanted that,
if we were watching this show, if we were watching this show, well, you said Viserys did. I mean,
Viserys wanted peace more than power.
That's easy to
didn't
say
do anything
because he was the king.
Yeah.
Would that have been true if he wasn't the king? I don't know. But again, if you go back and in typical fashion, like every storyline has two sides. So I always think of it like from a Walking Dead standpoint. If we would have watched the whole show from Negan's perspective, would we have hated Rick and his team? If we'd have been watching this from the Hightower's perspective all the way through, would we be hating Rhaenyra? It is one of those things where, at the end of the day, she had the option to bend the knee and say, yes, this is the direct son of the king. He's the new king. And then save peace, or say, screw you, I'm the rightful heir. And in that moment, I think she contemplated it. But not for long.
So, Jeremy, put yourself in Rhaenyra's shoes. What would you have done here?
Oh, I'd have fired the dragon.
You'd have fired the dragon at Otto and killed him,
yeah?
Baby Ice, what would you have done?
Fire the dragon.
Pop him?
Barbecue. Yep.
Headless?
I thought for sure that dragon was firing that fire. Like I was disappointed when it didn't happen, but I understood why.
Would you have done it though if you were the king in this scene?
Probably.
And I would have done it too. So we're all agreed on
I don't know if it's the right move, but I would have done it.
Well, here's the thing. I'll make this quick, but like my dad always taught me, if you're ever when I was a little kid in school, this is a horrible lesson. Don't teach this to your kids, or maybe do. I don't know. Never let somebody hit you first. Always hit them first. If you're going to get in a fight and you're going to get in a fight and you can't avoid it, never let them throw the first punch. Yeah. So to me, that's the moment. You already know you're going to war. She locked down everybody, declared her son the king against the wishes of many, forced that decision on several, and then you're going to war. So strike first.
And also, prior to this scene in the books, she was giving birth to her baby and screaming profanities at Alicent. She was going to kill her. So, I don't think she would have done it in that way any differently.
To the biggest traitor piece of crap known to man, Hightower Otto, it would have just been nice to see him burn and fall off the edge of that cliff.
I want to pay respect to Otto's cojones as well, because it takes some balls to go and stand on that bridge again. And
Hell yeah!
Put yourself in the line,
And have the dragon behind you and her in front of you, and still declare everything that he declared. He didn't back down.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
definitely. So we're going to move to this scene. I paused it here because we'll talk just what happened before this. Rhaenyra comes into the room and she tries to talk to her council, and she asks them, what is it that she is required to do as queen? What would they require her to do? And they say that they need to get a hold of more people. They need to get more people on their side and all this kind of stuff. And she even says, she hints at the fact that she could be peaceful. Do we have to go to war and all this kind of stuff? And Daemon says, that's my brother in you. That's the king in you. And she says, she says, the king's dead. That was my father. He's dead now. It's me that's in charge. And she clears the room instantly. Everybody get out. You know, I love when people do that in shows, when people draw that power to just clear a room. You know, it's amazing. I've never done it personally, but maybe one day I'll be able to do that. Walk into a room and say, give me the room. I want to talk to Jeremy, for example. And everyone just leaves. It would be pretty cool. But yeah, so she then goes ahead and tells him the ultimate sin. And in my eyes, she tells him the prophecy, which isn't supposed to be handed down to Daemon at all. It's supposed to be handed down to the next person in line to the throne to continue the legacy and to make sure that there is always a Targaryen in power when it comes to the Long Night and the Song of Ice and Fire, and to defeat the White Walkers and all this stuff. So her telling him this, he switched, didn't he, guys? He just absolutely switched his light bulb straight off and grabbed her by the throat and delivers one of the most poignant lines in this show. Dreams didn't make us kings, dragons did. And what a powerful line. Like, Headless got Funko Pop signed recently by Matt Smith, and it probably should have waited till the end of the season, because all the quotes that he's been given.
I know, right?
Yeah.
The one he got was cool. He can keep his tongue. But, and you know, would you have rather have had, you know, Pops didn't make us kings, dragons did? Something like that. It would have been cool. Damn right, says Caroline.
You should have told me. Dude, I got a better quote for you.
Yeah.
I know. I should have told you.
But it's probably it could potentially be a quote we don't even know yet, because every line he speaks is like that. But I thought that moment when he said that explains Daemon to the core. It's you know, that's the fight in him. That's the he didn't believe anything else but power and dragons.
Yeah, I think it was a poignant thing. It was like, yeah, you might have this dream that you need to do this, but if I keep squeezing, it's going to end. And the power within me as a dragon can take that dream away from you, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what it was symbolizing. I don't think he genuinely was going to kill her. I don't think that was his plan.
No.
I don't think so either, because I think they're so connected on a level that I think that even in that moment, it didn't really scare her, but it almost brought them to the same. They know where each other stand, and they know how to work that together. They do a dance that you don't see any other two characters do, and they always come out on the other side from different directions in the same spot. And so that's what I like about their dynamic. There's another scene right before this that I'd like to mention too.
I probably don't have it if it's before this.
The look on her face too is just like, is it all you got?
I know.
You know, and she's just like, bring it, come on. You know.
Mm-hmm.
That's just.
What was the scene you're talking about, Jeremy?
Well, if you go back to, and I might get this wrong, so correct me if I do, but going back to the kids and the nature of the kids, I do believe it was Jace, the older one, who, when she came to the table and they started the discussion, he's the one that grabbed up the pieces and started placing them on the table, preparing for war. Like, this is getting everything lined out strategically, which again I think aligns him more with those two characters, the Daemon in him, where he's going to be the assertive and one that's going to take action.
Yeah, definitely.
There's a big storyline for him.
I noticed a connection as well with what you were just saying then, because earlier in the season, she was dismissed from council meetings and war things and stuff. She didn't get to learn anything about being on the council. Yeah. And as soon as she was in, you see her give the nod to Relaena, to Baela, and she brings all the children to the table. If you notice that, she brings the grandchildren, the two daughters, and then she has her sons doing all these things. And I think that it was a perfect correlation to her way of ruling and her way of bringing her family into the fold and making sure that they all know what's going on, which was cool. And then you brought up that fact that he was putting out the things on the table. You know, she would have loved to have done that job back in the day, you know?
And you have
she just got told to go choose a knight.
I mean, I was just thinking about that earlier today. Like, what does Aegon know about being king? He was never a part of anything. I don't know that he was even educated in the to an extent of knowing who his allies and who his enemies would be. Like he never wanted it. He never studied it. He never wanted anything to do with it. And then all of a sudden he's thrust into it, feels the power, raises the sword. And now what?
I wish I had the meme for Jon Snow saying I don't want it.
Right.
I need a refresher here because I can't remember that far back. But was Daemon ever set to take the throne after Viserys?
No.
Okay. Because then that when she said that line, well, you didn't know. Well, why would he?
Only way Daemon, correct me if I'm wrong, only way Daemon could have been is if Viserys had died prior to becoming king, and then he would have been the eldest living son, heir to
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, he would have been the choice between Rhaenyra or Daemon if
Yeah.
Viserys had died before that point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Daemon, although you asked that question, Baby, Daemon has always believed that he should be king
Oh yeah.
over his brother. He's always
saying, I'm not going to choose between my brother and my daughter.
Yep.
And then eventually it was brought to that choice that he just named her instead of naming him.
You,
Well, when
you
a
have a
king
point. He
doesn't have a
probably
son-
could have named him.
Yeah, when a
He didn't
king
have a
doesn't
son.
have a son, he can name his his successor. Yeah.
Right. So that's why I'm surprised she even told him, because he was never prudent of that information, because he was never become an heir at some point. You know what I mean?
We've seen her struggle with it over the last couple of episodes about the prophecy and whether she believes it to be true or not. She asked Viserys himself that in his dying bed. So I can understand her maybe wanting to try and bring Daemon down a bit and help him understand what's going on and maybe why she wants to be peaceful, or maybe why she would need to be peaceful. You know, it's definitely something to ponder probably going forward. So then this is the exact scene here. His facial expressions again, like Headless said it earlier. Rhaenys pulled it off without saying many lines. Daemon does it every single time. Like going back to the Stepstones fight, he hardly speaks, and that whole scene is fantastic. And this correlates to the exact scene where he says, "Dreams didn't make us kings, dragons did." And I just love it. I had to get a picture of it. I had to get a screenshot for us all to talk about and to just break down Daemon, because I think he's a very complex and fantastic character going forward, I think. So yeah, next scene we see Grand Old Daddy Corlys. That would have been my little caption if I put it. Grand Old Daddy Corlys, he's back. Did you guys expect to see him? Did you think he was written off screen? I know they've spoken about him being ill and stuff, but did you expect to see him in this episode?
No.
I mean, I did.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, we haven't seen him in like 4 or 5 episodes. I assume we would see something going on with him.
Yeah, I figured we'd see him. I mean, I didn't make the assumption that he was dead. I just thought, he's doing this, but that all comes full circle at some point, and season finale makes the most sense.
Yeah.
We'll see him again.
And with his wife being kind of a pivotal role in the end of the last one and then this one, I figured we'd see him at some point in some capacity,
I'm definitely glad that we did. And in this scene, he seems to be a little bit off with Rhaenyra. He's telling Rhaenys, his wife, that we are no longer fighting for this throne. It's taken too much of our family away from us. He finds out about, Vaemond losing his head to Daemon and all this kind of stuff. And he's just had enough. He's happy to just go back to Driftmark, live out the rest of his days, and just be happy over there and not be part of this war. And it's Rhaenys, who we've all thought might have had an issue with Rhaenyra, shoots him down and says, actually, you're wrong. All them men in that room are planning wars and planning to murder everybody. And Rhaenyra is the only one that's calm, the only one that has got her composure. And she basically gives her blessing to Corlys to say, look, I give you the right to give her all of your protection and all of your word, Even though she never gave it when it was required, she gave it to Corlys.
Right.
If everyone caught that. I that's what I got from that.
She
was wearing the trousers in that relationship.
She pulled the strings behind the scenes. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
No question who was in charge.
Yes.
But I have to wonder, this is the scene. Yeah. But I have to wonder if all this would be different if Allison didn't lock her in that room and gave her the choice, who's the rightful heir?
Yeah.
Did Allison piss her off enough to go to Rhaenyra and say, I'm with you?
Yeah, I took that whole thing with Allison and her to Allison was just saying, you need to do what you're here to do. You need to be a woman. You need to serve the men in the realm and all this kind of stuff. And Rhaenys has never been that. She's always wanted to be the queen. She's always wanted to have say. And yeah, I think Allison basically drew her own sword. Basically, she put her in it, you know. And she says to her, "You're basically building a castle with a window."
Because Rhaenys wasn't loyal to Rhaenyra prior to this. I mean,
No.
he didn't even there were some tense moments between the two.
Yeah.
So
She believes that she killed her son. Still, she still believes that. So,
Yep.
you know, and she still gave her that honor and that right. And it was last night with Headless, we were looking for this scene while I had the episode up live, and I couldn't quite find it, but I did find it when I paused it. She gets the blessing of Corlys, and he says all the stuff that he says, that you'll have my ships, you'll have my men. And she thanks him and says that you have honored me. But then she looks at Rhaenys, and Rhaenys gives her the final. You know, she gives her the final, like, yep, this is true. This is from me. And I just like it. Again, the smirks, she did brilliant with it. Eve Best is one of the best actresses in this show. She doesn't speak very much, but she is definitely one of the best actresses. And if anybody wants to know more or hear more about her, then they should tune into the SDCC Comic-Con House of the Dragon event, because she has quite a lot to say in that panel.
nice.
She gets asked quite a lot, so that's definitely a cool thing to listen to.
Well, I think I think Rhaenyra also knew. She turned immediately. She said, "Thank you. Thank you for whatever, all that," and then turns immediately to her, as though she knows, like, this is really coming from you. Thank you. And then she's just smirking back. I thought it was fantastic.
So Mitchie asked the question here in the chat: will her son come back? So in the books, he's dead. In the books, he's dead. He was stabbed in the street multiple times with multiple witnesses. He is dead. So I don't know what they're going to do with him in the show. I would have assumed that if they've shown us him leaving on screen, then he will probably return. Because I don't see why they would have done that otherwise. But we'll see, I suppose. Like, I'm very, very interested to see what they do with his dragon. Because Damon claims in this episode that Sea Smoke is claimable, and in my eyes and in my understanding of the lore and the history of the show, you can only bond with one dragon. Oh, we lost Headless. I'm sure he'll come back, but I hope you come back, Headless. But yeah, I assumed that you could only bond with one dragon, but I don't know. In this show, yeah, we got him back.
Sorry about that.
I was kind of wondering the same thing, you know. If that's your dragon from birth, right?
Yeah.
How can you just go claim someone else's dragon and be able to maneuver it? For lack of better words, you know, how's that dragon? You know, I thought it was already someone else's, and that dragon, that's its master, and you know, I just.
Well, did Daenerys not have 3?
She did, but
yeah, it's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
I mean, she gave one to John.
I'm trying to think though. Did she ride all 3, or did she only ever just ride Drogon?
Because she really birthed 3.
Yeah, you have a good. Baby Ice has a good point. She had 3 eggs when she went into the fire, so she did birth. She did kind of birth 3 eggs.
I just think it's the Targaryens control the dragons for the most part. I think ultimately that's the connection. So even if it's not claimed to them, their loyalty, the dragons' loyalty, if they have any, is to the Targaryens.
Yeah, I think Headless is froze again.
I think he is too. That, or he's real still with that smile on his face.
Yeah, he's just trying to give us the ratings squid.
He's like, I'm gonna do ratings.
I don't know what's going on. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, but you're frozen.
What's going on with this camera?
Just a black camera.
Okay,
we'll move forward anyway. It looks like Headless is having some technical difficulties.
Now, didn't Viserys say it's a thing where people think we control them?
Yeah, I was going to get to that later on in the episode.
Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah, we will get to that point. So while we're here on the screen, we have callers talking about how when he was away at his fighting, he secured the stepstones, and they are now his, and he has drew the triarchy away, and they have claimed it as their own. So what he is planning to do, whilst giving his men to Rhaenyra, is to lock down the port leading to King's Landing. So it will choke all their income, it will choke all their money and all that kind of stuff. And I have it here that he explains that on the table. That could be a very good bargaining thing going forward. You know, a very good strategic move, and even I just lost her name. The Queen that never was, Rhaenys.
Rhaenys, yeah.
Yeah, when Rhaenys says, "Well, I will take my dragon and I will patrol that area to make sure that it's safe and stuff like that."
Because the last entry point is through Driftmark, and so Rhaenys basically said, "I got that. I'll watch that. You take the ships, block off the passageway. I'll take care of this part."
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and here my heart sank because I knew what was coming, and I didn't want it to happen. So here my heart sank when they are talking about going to Winterfell, going to the. Why has I literally had an absolute brain fart of names? So yeah, she was sending the boys, and one of Jace, the older boy, says, "You should send us. We have dragons. Dragons are more of a notable thing to convince people, and we are the princes of the realm and all this kind of stuff. It makes more sense than sending a stupid raven. It
Yeah,
just
they're
looks
faster.
more. Yeah, they're faster as well. Exactly. So my heart sank, and I don't like that HBO is still trying to play off that these two girls are like young, because especially Baylor on the left. I think that's Baylor. She's a pretty much an adult woman now.
Mm-hmm.
She's an adult woman, and these boys are still younger in my opinion. But it definitely hurt to hear them say that they needed to go, because I knew it was coming, and I knew it was only a matter of time. So we move forward to this scene where she accepts that they can go. Rhaenyra accepts that her two boys can go, but she is adamant with the both of them, isn't she, that they are only convoying a message. They are not to fight under any circumstances, and she makes them swear in front of the seven gods. Anyone want to break down their thoughts on these scenes?
I just don't think she should have let them go to begin with. You already know you're in a heightened, elevated state. You're going to war at some point for something. Why would you send the two people that have always been giving the problem? Oh, they're illegitimate. They're not,
They
it's always been a problem, and you just let them go willy-nilly all by themselves.
Well, if she was dedicated to the idea of sending the dragons because they're quicker and we need fast responses, then there's nobody else that can fly the dragons. It has to be them. So that's where I think the struggle was, and I thought her message was good. That you're just messengers, get back here, because she didn't need to, and it's the same thing that Rainey said in the beginning of, basically why she didn't burn them all, the high towers, and everybody alive with her dragon, was it's a war that has to be fought. It's not my war to start, and it's these boys' war to fight, but it's not theirs to start. It's ultimately going to lie in her hands.
And when people do watch it back, you'll notice as well, Jace mentions that they should go. Luke doesn't seem pretty happy about it when it's mentioned.
Doesn't seem thrilled about it, no.
No, he doesn't seem thrilled about it at all. So it's definitely a good correlation to see these things happening when you know what is about to come.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this scene. I love that, again, they're both kind of in different clothing. Just pointing out that they're not the same again.
Right.
With the reds and the blacks. It's quite good. And yeah, Jace or Luke. So Luke has Baratheon blood in him because of Rhaenys, and going forward, he should go to what's the place called? I'm sorry, guys.
The name of where Baratheons are?
Yeah.
Storm's End.
Storm's End. Thank you, Storm's End. So he has to go to Storm's End to deliver the message, which is the shorter ride, and it's the supposedly easier ride for the younger flyer and the smaller dragon. But I don't know. Would you have guys switched it around? Would you have sent the older one there and the younger one to to Winterfell? Or would you have kept it because of their bloodlines? It makes sense.
I mean, the bloodlines, the age similarities, all the reasons that they named it seemed like it was the right path to send them on. But maybe they just she just shouldn't have sent them alone. You know, I
Yeah.
don't.
And yeah, Umpty has book knowledge as well by the looks of it, because that is straight from the book. From what he read, that they wanted to fly those dragons to prove that they were legit heirs.
That's why they volunteered. Well, I don't feel like Luke volunteered.
No, I don't think he did either. I think he just went along with his hello, Queen Mitchie.
Hi.
Yes. Yes. He went along with it. You know.
I'm glad that you made it to Storm's End and back safely, Mitchie.
I did.
She did.
Barely. Could have got
Well,
killed.
we're going to move on to the next scene, and I got this one because it was it's a mother and son scene. Everybody notice the stroke of the finger when she was giving him the note, like, take care, little boy. She still sees him as a little boy, and he even says it. Like,
He said,
the
"Mom."
the older boy says, yes, my queen, and then he goes, yes, mom, I mean my queen. He isn't quite out of that, which was was heartbreaking to hear, especially for, again, like I've said many times, I knew what was coming, so it was definitely very hard to see, because they definitely portrayed it perfectly to the books. That this scene was perfect, where she's talking to them and she's saying goodbye, because earlier on in the episode he called her perfect, remember? He is besotted with his mother, and he does love her. Charles, how did you feel about this parting scene? Obviously, you
It
had no
made sense.
preconceived notions of what was coming, but
Yeah, without ruining anything, but yeah, it made sense to send the shorter distance, of course, and then the bloodline helped as well. We'll talk about it later, but it could have been a whole lot different if the boys would have been switched, for sure. For sure,
definitely.
Because, the younger boy's not a hothead. The oldest one is.
So at first, when we came to this scene with the 3 dragons, I had to quickly go back and realize, why is there 3 dragons? And I forgot that Rhaenys had said that she was going to go and take Baelise and patrol the Stepstones area. So there was 3 dragons. There was the 2 boys and Maelys. So then that ponders a question that I would like to ask you all on the panel, and anyone in the chat if they're interested. Knowing what we know, and without spoiling what we know, why didn't Rhaenys go with Luke? Luke. Is it Luke?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Luke was the younger one. Yeah. Why didn't she go with Luke?
She's going to patrol the Stepstones, which is further past.
Yeah.
Storm's End. It's past Storm's End. Okay. So why didn't she go with him on one diplomatic mission, and then go and do what she needed to do once he was on his way home? I don't get it.
Because maybe if he showed up with her, it's just another woman. I need to stand on my own 2 feet and prove what I'm doing by myself. And maybe that's why they didn't send anybody with them. Because that was the point. We have dragons. We need to, stand on our own 2 feet right now with what's going on. So I think sending another woman would have been just like sending their mother. It's like, there was no point in sending them if they needed to be like, hey, we've got dragons, we're in charge, and that's what they need to do alone. They couldn't do it with somebody with them.
And I think there was some sense of urgency to patrol that area for incoming ships or any other thing.
Yeah.
There was some level of urgency that territory needed to be maintained or watched. As all the other pieces got set up and put in place. So, you have 10 things you got to do and you got 10 people, then everybody has to do one thing.
Yeah. So just before you joined Headless, I posed a question to the panel that we see 3 dragons here. We see that the 3 missions are set about, and I put to the panel, why didn't Rhaenys go with Luke to Storm's End? Why didn't she go on one diplomatic mission with him, see him off, and then go and do what she needed to do over in the Stepstones? Because it's on its way, Storm's End is on the way to the Stepstones.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she could have, but she did say she wanted to patrol, and I don't know. It's weird that she did send the kids, but again, if the dragons are faster than the ravens, that's why they did it. And who else was going to go?
And they're not kids.
They're not kids.
True.
You know,
I mean, they're not. Yeah, I mean, what do we think of Luke is? Like, I got him pegged at like around 13 or 14. Though.
Yeah, 14.
So
I'd say 14.
14. Yeah, I mean, so he's not an adult.
yeah, but in this world they are.
They already.
True.
They're,
Yeah.
They're already
They're
damn near
engaged.
married
They're
and getting ready to
engaged.
start popping out babies. before-
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, like, what have they really done as far as their political backgrounds? I guess if you want to put, if he's supposed to take over Driftmark, this is a good step to go take care of some business for her. So, it was just. I would have left when I saw Vagar. Well, I don't know if we got that far yet, but as soon as I see that dude, I'm like, I'm out.
Yeah. Well, we're
You
just getting there. So we're literally,
Yeah.
I think the next scene is, I don't know, we're just getting this, coming up to this really cool scene in the next
Oh,
scene.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
So again, please, people, if you rewatch this, put headphones on, because Daemon Targaryen's voice with headphones is sweet nectar to the ears.
I thought he
That's
was.
what I'm going to say. He can't sing for shit, but he's brilliant in this scene, and I love it. And I think we're moving forward to one of Jeremy's favorite scenes.
Yeah, you know what? Mitchie just made a point. Can I back us up for
Sure.
one second? Say that.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Oh,
We're talking about Rainey's here,
yeah.
Mhm.
right?
Well, and she's close to her granddaughters, but she's not close to the boys because they're not. She knows they're not her grandkids.
Yeah,
Good point.
they're not her legitimate whatever.
I mean, her son claimed them, but like they're not. So maybe
Good point. She knows they're bastards. Yeah, good
Yep.
point.
Yep. Okay, sorry.
Thank you for that, Mitch. That clears up why she didn't go with them. Yeah, that it really does.
That's a good point.
If Rhaenyra had sent the granddaughters
Yeah.
to fly, maybe she'd have gone with those. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very good point, Mitchie, and that's why I've wanted you on this show for
Big
10
time.
weeks because you bring in these things. So thank you. So moving forward, I was just on this scene here. I asked everybody to please listen with headphones because it is amazing. Damon singing this song. So a lot of people thought, and I know Headless was one of them, that this next dragon was Dreamfire. A lot of people thought that this was Dreamfire, Helena's dragon, and it actually is not Helena's dragon. This is Vermithor.
Yeah, it is.
Mm,
Dragon. Look at that thing. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
that's in that
Amazing. And for anybody that doesn't know, anybody that didn't hear me say last night, Vermithor is the dragon that has been unridden since the old king Jaehaerys passed, because he was Jaehaerys' dragon.
Ooh.
Mhm.
And Jaehaerys' wife also had a dragon, which is one of the untamed dragons that Damon was speaking about earlier, Silverwing. So that's another one that could come into it later, hopefully. But yeah, Carolina Chris goes big dragon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
This is my
That
favorite
dragon's
dragon
that's in
so
the
far.
basement with all the dead.
No, this isn't the dragon head in the basement of Game of Thrones, right?
No.
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 No, the dragon in the basement of Game of Thrones is Balerion. That is the Viserys' dragon.
Yes.
So he was the biggest dragon in the realm
Yeah.
when he died. And then it goes to Vagar. And then it goes technically to Vermithor. But I believe that there'll be another dragon that will be bigger than Vermithor when it's announced. And that dragon is one of the 3 wild dragons. We have Sheep Stealer, one of the other ones, the name is surpassing me, and the Cannibal. And the Cannibal dragon is the one that I will believe will be bigger.
Carolina says, "Is this dragon bigger than Prince Aemon's?" Yes. Yes. Correct.
No. Prince Aemon's is Vagar. That's the biggest dragon now.
Oh, the biggest dragon now.
That's
Oh, Aemon. Yeah, not Damon. Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
Elena's, right?
Helena's is Dreamfire. The Helena's is the one that was underground when
But-
Aemon was given the pink pig and he went underground and saw that dragon.
Right.
That's Helena's dragon, Dreamfire.
Mhm.
And Dreamfire, just to give everybody a bit of information for Game of Thrones, in the books, Dreamfire is the mother of Daenerys' dragons, Drogon, Rhaegal, and Viserion.
Oh,
So Helena's dragon is the mother of Dany's dragons.
interesting.
Moving forward, she has in the book. She has eggs that get stolen from the mountain where they have them, and then they are taken to Dawn, and they are sold at Dawn for a ship. 3 dragons for a ship, and then they end up being Daenerys' dragons later down the line.
Mm-hmm.
Which is pretty cool to connect it to it. And I really do hope we see Dreamfire next season, because we didn't see much of it at all this season, just underground.
Yeah.
So this was a great scene.
Oh,
we see
fantastic.
Damon's eye within the dragon, and then it went back to the dragon in Damon's eye. It was like, I don't know what they're doing here, because this is not in the books, guys. Daemon has 1 dragon and 1 dragon only. You can't tame another dragon if you've got another one. You can't. I don't get it. But Damon's doing it, so hey, let's see where he goes.
You don't. I mean, I don't know that he's taming it. It's just not eating them. You know.
Yeah.
It may just be a.
They said
You
they
know,
needed
we've
more
got
dragons.
we've got a plan. We're going to need you. Mental telepathy type thing, and this dragon doesn't have to be loyal to Daemon. Just has to be on the right team.
Mm-hmm. Charles, what do you think of Vermithor?
Awesome. I wanted more. Can't wait. I can't wait to see more. The thing is-
Fantastic entrance, right? With the
Oh my
flames.
god!
Yeah.
I was on the edge of my seat. I'm like, what is he doing? Okay, he can't. Okay, I'm telling myself he can't die because there's too much left. What's gonna eat him? You know, and I was ready for fire and yeah.
And you got it. Yeah, you got fire.
All that fire made me sweat. Literally, I was like, you know how hot it would be in that room if that dragon did that.
But where that dragon's at now, that is where all that Valyrian steel that comes into play from Game of Thrones. Is that right?
She's asked me that in the episode. Is that dragon guarding the Valyrian steel that's in there?
Or are they making
Or are they in a
Valyrian
different
steel with
place?
their breath?
With this, I think he's in the
Because that
Dragon
wasn't.
Dungeons at Dragonstone, which leads to Mount Dragon, which is the mountain behind it where all the dragons are. And when Jon Snow and Dany go to Dragonstone, and then they go into the mountain and see all the writing on the walls, I think that's where this leads to, where they were seeing all the writing on the wall with the White Walkers and all this stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, that leads down there.
Yeah, I didn't
Go ahead.
I just didn't think that was the same place that they went to and found all the Valyrian steel in Game of Thrones. That wasn't it. That wasn't where this dragon is. Or what?
No, I don't think it is in Game of Thrones. No.
Okay.
Wait, Valerian steel. I'm not 100% sure what you mean by Valerian steel. Do you mean the dragon glass daggers?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, the dragon glass.
Sorry. Yeah. Sorry.
That's what I meant.
Sorry.
So that's why I was a little confused, because
Yeah.
Valerian
That's
steel is the sword that Jon Snow
Yeah.
has and Joffrey has, and then you have the dragon glass daggers. So yes, this is where they found the dragon glass daggers.
Okay. Okay.
It's the dungeons in Mount Doom.
That's what confused me too, the Valyrian steel part. Yeah, dragon's glass. That makes better sense.
Valerian steel can kill a White Walker, and it can, and it's a very powerful sword.
Kill the dragons, though.
And the Valyrian steel can kill the dragons.
Is that right?
I,
Yeah.
I don't think it can now.
I don't think.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's just a very powerful. It kills White Walkers as well. That's why it's I think it's got the properties of what's in Dragon Glass.
Yeah.
Headless, what's your thoughts on Vermithor? I know you were a bit shocked to find out it wasn't the one you thought it was, and
Yeah,
they don't give us this information in the show. So
yeah, I have never even heard of him until you told me. So, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see him in battle. That's for sure. I mean, he looks pretty badass. So
you think it'd be good to see him against Vhagar, like a big dragon against a big dragon?
yeah.
That'd be pretty cool. Definitely. Anything else anybody would like to add? Baby Ice, do you have anything you'd like to add about?
Yeah, I just want to see more of this dragon in action. I can't wait to see him fly, because that's going to be awesome.
Definitely. So here we go, Headless. We have your scene that you said you would run away from.
I thought it was Godzilla.
Yeah, Godzilla with wings, guys. Like,
It looks like Loch Ness, coming out of there.
yeah, very good point. So I want to ask the panel, all round question: would you have got back on your dragon and flew away as soon as you seen Vhagar?
Yep.
Knowing what that represents, knowing that inside this building is going to be Aemond, the guy you took his eye out.
If I would have been gone, bye.
Yep, I would have gone. I would have been gone.
Charles, would you have gone, or would you have stayed and done your duty? You're already here. You've flown all this way in the storm.
Exactly. I'm already there. I've already got to set in my mind. I'm not going to fight no matter what. I promised my mom that. I'm a mama's boy. I'm not going to break that. Like you said, I'm already there. I'm going to do it. I'm going to stick around, see what happens.
And Jeremy's nodding his head. So you just stayed too, Jeremy?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's the heir to
The Seven Kingdoms.
Well, no, he's not the heir to the Seven Kingdoms.
No. He's the heir to Driftmark. Sorry,
Driftmark, and he has a duty, and he's been ordered by the rightful queen. And he's going to go do what he's supposed to do.
Mm-hmm. Carolina Chris says, "No, I'm swimming home.
I'm swimming home." Facts.
Crazy. Yeah, this scene was very good. It was in the trailer, of course. We all saw it in the trailer leading up to it, so we knew it was coming. But it was just insane. Vhagar is massive, and I don't even think this picture puts it to justice. I think he looks a bit small in this scene, to be honest. Because when you see him later on in the skies, he's huge. So I don't know. We're almost to the end of the slideshow, guys. So we're all going to be able to get this over soon. We move into the next scene, and we have Boris Baratheon. I think it is Lord Boris Baratheon. He has now taken up the throne of Storm's End. We haven't met this character before. He's new to the show. We met his father, though, in a couple of scenes earlier when Rhaenyra was sat with him choosing a suitor, and the two young boys were arguing, and one stabbed the other one and she walked away. The old man that she was sitting with was his father. He was the leader of the Baratheon family, and he was the seat of here. So yeah, did you guys notice he was illiterate? He couldn't read.
Yeah. Was he also in the scene where he knelt to Rhaenyra's Rhaenyra?
Yeah, his father was. Yeah, his father was. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, his father knelt to Rhaenyra. That's why the boy was sent to remind him of the duties that his father had done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like seeing that he was illiterate.
Yeah, it was wild.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's illiterate. He can't read. He gets the Maester to read for him, which was cool. Keeping in line with the books and stuff like that. But yeah, it was just crazy. I knew what was coming, obviously, but moving forward, he said, "What do you bring me, boy? You've come to tell me and remind me of my father's honor, which isn't my father's. Now I own this. Which one of my daughters are you going to marry?" And Jace says, or Luke says, "I'm not going to marry any of them because I'm already betrothed. I'm already supposed to be married. I'm not going to go back on that." And then we see Aemon, one-eyed Aemon, the bad guy of the show, the villain of this show. I believe everybody loves him for it. I do. He's probably my second favorite character in this show. He demands. He says to him, doesn't he? What do you think you're doing? You think you're going to be able to walk around here and declaim my brother's throne, and do what you want to do? And plus, you took my eye, and you're not going to leave without taking your own. And it was pretty shocking. So, did you guys think they were going to fight? Baby Ice, did you think they were going to fight?
Honestly, I didn't think the other Jace. Was it Jace?
This is Jace, yeah?
Yeah, okay. I didn't think he was going to fight because of the promise he made his mom. But I know Aemon's always like, let's go. I'm ready to go.
This is Luke.
Fight. Luke.
Yeah, I get them so confused. There's so many names.
Either way, they made a promise to their mother. They weren't going to break it, but Aemon's like, let's go. I want to fight you. I've always wanted to fight you. Let's do it. So I didn't think they were going to actually fight, but I didn't know what was going to happen here, really.
Anybody else?
I thought they were going to fight. I thought they were going to fight because I thought that's what the scene on the beach of the two training was setting up. I thought it was going to come down to a battle. I had no idea what kind of battle it was going to ultimately come down to, but I expected this type of battle, and I expected some sort of surprise and confidence booster or something, and for Luke to get the better hand.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So.
And do you think that too, Charles? Do you think they were going to come to knives and fighting?
No, I really don't. I really don't. He seems more timid than his brother. Now, if this was reversed with his brother, yeah, they would have been knocked down, drag out. and we all know that because they're both. He's hot headed, and so is the other one. But I really don't think he was going to fight. I don't. I think he was going to take the answer, walk out, fly home, be, perfectly content, tell his mother what was said, and that's it.
What about you, Headless?
Yeah, I figured they weren't going to fight, but as soon as they let him leave the castle, I pretty much knew what was going to happen. I didn't know how it was going to happen, but I knew what was going to happen.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I mean, don't get me wrong.
doesn't he?
In all reality, in that scene, in that moment, Luke would have gotten his ass kicked. I mean, there's no way he
Chris
would.
just
Yeah,
said
there's
that.
no
No
way.
Yeah.
I didn't see no battle. If I knew if he would have fighted, he got his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted them to fight. So I don't know if I have a picture. Yeah, I do. There we go, guys. Love this scene. I kind of spoiled it for you all last week, but again, I say I didn't spoil it because they put it in the intro scene with the blue symbol. So if people watch the intro scene quite religiously, like I do, and break it down, they do tell you last week that they were foreshadowing this exact thing. His eye is fantastic, right, guys? Like, what a place mark to put something in a show.
Yeah.
So I want to put to you guys, I've seen something online. This isn't confirmed in the books. This isn't anything in the books, but a lot of people think that he might have a connection to the White Walkers now because of the blue eye. Does anybody else see that or could envision that?
Interesting.
I could envision that. Yeah.
That's definitely something to ponder because there is another theory out there that I'd be interested in talking about later.
Headless, what about you? I know that you went a bit like, ooh.
Yeah, I mean, what is this supposed to be? It's supposed to be what kind of gem is that?
It's a blue sapphire.
Okay. It's interesting. I mean, it does make you think. I still don't think so because they kind of explain how the White Walkers became. I don't know. I guess if I had to answer that right now, I'd say probably not. But I'm definitely interested to see if they move forward with something like that. I just don't. I mean, unless we're talking 200 years. Well, I guess do we know what year the White Walkers became something? Like are the White Walkers around right now?
No, I don't think they are. Aegon, the original Aegon, had a dream, a prophetic dream, that he would have to save the world, or a Targaryen would save the world from the Long Night and the White Walkers. So
yeah, we would have to dig deep and see exactly go back and watch that episode and see if they actually mention when the White Walkers became, the way they became. Because man, the kid who gets stabbed in Game of Thrones, I mean, he kind of looks like him. I'm trying to remember what he looks like now, but I don't know.
It was the original Night King, so the guy that gets stabbed in the chest you're talking about with the dagger.
Right, he kind of looks like him.
He played the Night King in season 7 and 8.
Right, but I'm saying it kind of looks like Aemond a little bit.
Yeah, it does. Yeah,
Was an older Aemond. So I'm curious now. I'm gonna Google it. Well, I don't want to see. That's the problem with Googling. Is like then you might get spoilers. That's the problem.
Yeah, I would urge everybody not to Google anything to do with Aemond if you don't want to be spoiled.
Yeah,
and that doesn't reference me saying that he has anything to do with White Walkers because that isn't referenced in the book whatsoever. But his storyline is very depth and it is very deep, and I wouldn't want anyone to have it ruined.
Interesting.
But yeah, I just love this scene. I thought it was fantastic and a very good place marker. Baby Ice, do you have anything that you'd like to add about this eyeball or lack of?
It's just badass. He looks badass. I can't help it. He just does. That's just the sickest. That's an awesome shot. Just
thank you. Yeah, well, I didn't film this scene, but I paused it and took a screenshot. So,
but I'm curious why the gem's not green or red or black. Why is it blue?
Yeah, why is it that kind of gem?
Because his mother's in the green. His dad red or black. So where did blue come from?
Yeah, I don't think it's actually pointed out in the book very often. It's just noted that he has a blue sapphire in his eye.
Because here's the other ironic part: his other eye isn't even blue. So I don't see why they chose a blue gem.
Yeah, I kind of see blue eye on the other eye. I don't know if anyone else sees that.
He's blonde hair, blue eyed,
Mhm.
but
They're either blue or violet.
but I also think it's just royalty, and it's a blue
Yeah.
sapphire, and
Definitely, yeah, an expensive stone and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But Carolina Chris says that they showed the guy that became the Night King in Game of Thrones, right? Yes, they did. They showed the first White Walker to be created. I don't think they really showed how the Night King became. Because again, in the books of Game of Thrones, the Night King isn't even anything that exists. There's never any mention of a leader in the White Walker army. There isn't a White Walker king as such. So, they played on that a lot in the books and in the show.
Well, didn't they say in Game of Thrones that there was a previous long winter?
Yeah.
So wouldn't the White Walkers have been a part of that?
It's mentioned that that's what they were part of, yeah, because they knew about the White Walkers before, but everybody talks them down. The Maesters talk them down. They don't talk about them in the histories, and that's why it's never believed.
Okay.
But there's a reason why the people at the Wall have the fights that they have at the Wall when they're protecting the people down south. So, guys, we are literally moving into the final scenes now of this episode, and the most poignant parts of this show, in my opinion, for this whole 10 episodes. So he runs outside, and the storm is still continuing, and he tells his dragon to listen to me, to obey me. Don't freak out. I know this is gonna be hard. We're probably gonna get chased. And he tells his dragon Arax to fly. And this isn't the scene, but I paused it here because this is the Godzilla that I see. This is Godzilla.
Yeah.
I've seen the movie Godzilla, and this is a scene from Godzilla when he does this. It's amazing. I was jumping out of my seat in the first time I watched this. I was like, "Whoa, what's going on? This is pretty crazy." So, how did you take this fight scene, Charles? Leading up to the final scene, obviously, how did you take this fight scene?
It was not going to end well for somebody. I know that. It just, and honestly, I thought the young man had lost, had eluded.
Mm-hmm. Shook him off. He went into the canyons of Star Wars and shook him off.
Yeah, and I thought he had shook him off, and he was going to fly home.
He hit the brakes and let him fly right by.
Yeah.
Top Gun.
He said, you see here, speaking in High Valyrian, Aemon shouts, "You owe a debt, an eye for an eye. You took my eye, I want it back." So what I want to let everybody know in the books, now it doesn't say that in this, it doesn't show that in this scene, but in the books, Aemon goads the boy to fight him take his eye out in the arena, and he doesn't, and King Boris or Lord Boris lets him leave and says, "No bloodshed in my halls." And then what you don't see is the 3 women that are standing there, his daughters. They goad Aemon and wind him up and say, "How did you allow that boy to do that? Why did you let him take your eye? I can't believe I'm going to marry you when you let a little boy do that to you." And then he's like, "Oh, okay. And then I'm going to go and chase his ass."
Interesting.
Yeah, it is right.
So he didn't want to go chase him. He was goaded by these girls, and he went and did it. He was like, "Well, I'm not going to have you disrespect my manhood and my honorability. I'm going to go and do something about it." And again, I don't think he intended to kill. I think he just intended to scare and to have a chase and to say, "Look, I'm bigger than you. I'm better than you." It's just it was one of those scenes that I wish they added in. So here you have no Arax on screen. And that is in High Valyrian. He's speaking to his dragon. The dragon did this itself. Arax attacked Vagar itself. It wasn't done by Luke at all. As I'm sure everybody might have got that from this scene. I know a lot of people don't have subtitles on sometimes and they don't see these things. But he did say no Arax, and he fires at him. Mm-hmm. What did you all think of that? What did you all think of that? That the dragon doing its own thing? Before we move to the big scene, the little dragon attacked first. Like you said earlier, Jeremy, don't be punched first. Be sure the one that you punch first.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of wanted this scene to happen. I kind of wanted the dragon to blow fire, but I didn't want it to blow fire on the big dragon's face. I wanted it to blow fire on Aemon. Yeah. Like he just placed the fire in the wrong spot. But I was a little surprised, especially because I clearly heard him say no, Arax. I knew he was saying no. and the dragon wasn't paying attention to him, and it didn't catch me at first until later when the other dragon came into play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's when it solidified what Mitchie said and what I've said, which is nobody really controls the dragons.
I think they're
Yeah.
prepared for I think they are battle dragons, even though they said they're not trained for battle, but they are because it's just part of who they are.
Especially Vagar. Vagar's been around a lot of dragons, and Vagar was the dragon of the sister wife of the original king Aegon. His sister wife Visenya, which is a good callback to the baby that died earlier in this episode. That baby was called Visenya.
Mm-hmm.
It's the daughter of Rhaenyra, and she wanted to call it Visenya. If everybody calls back to episode 1, when Viserys and his wife Emma she's giving birth, Rhaenyra says, "Oh, the name's Visenya," and they say, "No, it's not. No, it's not." So she wanted to call that baby Visenya.
Mm-hmm.
She's always had that in her mind from episode 1, which is pretty cool. And obviously, it connects. Visenya's dragon back in the day was Vagar. Visenya rode Vagar. So now this happens, and this scene again. I spoke earlier about how I love the scenes when we have the locations. This didn't have a location in it, but it's one of the best scenes in the entire show. Like, majestically beautiful, but then you obviously knew what was coming. And I asked you all to brace yourself because I did get a pretty good screenshot. So here you go.
Yeah. It's not the last thing I want to be looking at.
No.
Yeah. Vagar comes out of nowhere and decides that he wants his little taste of driftmark. He wants a little taste. He wants a little bite, because a little bite to Vagar is a gigantic city gone. And I'm surprised that what we see is what we see, because he didn't just take it all in one. And for everybody watching this stream that hasn't watched the episode and doesn't know what we're talking about, Vagar eats Arax and Lucerys in one swoop. He's had enough. He's pissed off, and he just takes it out on him, and he eats him. And I want to take everybody back to an episode when Viserys says to Rhaenyra, "It is a myth that people believe we control the dragons." Because I genuinely believe that they have no control over them to an extent when it comes to war. Vagar has seen many, many people die. She has many, many masters and riders. And I just think that she's doing this herself. She starts the Dance of Dragons. What did you all think of this scene? Were you shocked, Mitchie? I want your thoughts first. Did this shock you? Did you gasp?
Well, I knew something bad was coming, but I wasn't for sure if that was going to be it. I had a feeling
when you saw this scene, Mitchie, did you know that was it? It was obvious,
yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, no. And I was freaking out grabbing him, and he was telling me to get off of him and just stop.
Well, she was
fine.
like squeezing the life out of me.
He said, "No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, it's fine."
We all knew what was about to
fine.
happen.
Nothing was fine.
So I like to think it's funny how you'll get more of a visceral reaction out of Mitchie with things like this, but she'll watch horror movies and she'll sit peacefully quiet and not move or jump or anything.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's crazy how she'll jump onto Jeremy's arm and hold him, say, help me, and
I thought
it's brilliant.
No, I'm like, are you watching? But he's staring at the TV.
No, you squeezed the life out of me when this was about to happen. But because I thought it was so fitting too that they got above the storm and the sky's open and the sun's shining, and then it happens. Like, it just kind of, I don't know, that whole scene was epic on every level, the way it ultimately happened. But I knew the moment he got above the clouds and it all cleared up and you felt like it was safe,
it's like the perfect
shit's
storm.
about to go down.
It's like the Perfect Storm movie.
That's the eye of the storm.
It's the eye of the storm.
Yeah.
But you could tell that he was going to, he had to have known he was about to kill him altogether, because he couldn't control that dragon from the get-go.
Well, that's the other thing is, like you said, it wasn't just Luke saying no to Arax. It was so too did Aemon say to this big bastard.
Mm-hmm.
It was clear that he had lost control of his dragon too. He didn't want that to happen. He wasn't trying to get that to happen.
Well,
you could see it in his face. Yeah.
Yeah, you can see it on his face. He's like, I just fucked up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baby Ice, did you see this coming? Were you shocked?
It threw me. I didn't think it was over, but I didn't know it was going to be that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I agree.
Wow.
It's pretty shocking.
I mean,
Headless,
I
what
have a
about yourself?
question. Do you
Go
think
ahead.
he could have just jumped off his dragon and just went and took that risk? Because could he possibly been
I
overboard?
don't think he had enough time to think. It was
And he was
instant.
30,000 feet above the earth.
he
He's-
kind of ended up like Brand.
No, he'd have hit that water like concrete. No way, even if he was above water.
I will answer your question when we get to the end. There is some little bit about that. Headless, what about yourself? Shocked at this scene?
Yeah, I was, because I really thought it was going to be death by fire. Like when they're flying, I pretty much knew it was going to happen. I like the way the episode played out, because with Orex is like kind of shooting his own fire. I was like, okay, so he's going to put up a fight, and then like the next thing you see is this. And but I definitely thought that Vhagar, when he was above him, I thought he was just going to burn him, and that was it. But yeah, I mean, it didn't. The death part did not really surprise me, because as soon as he landed and saw Vhagar, I had a feeling, which and it makes sense to move the plot along, and now this basically starts the war. Now she's lost 2 kids in the past 48 hours or so, but the scene was awesome, so I enjoyed it.
She lost her father, her baby, and her youngest
within like
son
48 hours. Yeah,
within the same episode.
I gotta say, I'm 100% in agreement with you. Like when you say, "Did you see this coming?" My saying yes is that the outcome was going to be that he didn't make it out alive. I absolutely thought it was going to be by fire.
Yeah,
absolutely thought he was going to rain fire down on him and end it. I did not see him getting chomped out of the
getting chomped. Right.
Yeah,
I did not see that coming. That's for sure.
No.
And that was a good twist.
Did everybody see that the Jaws callback as well when he was coming through behind him? When he looked back and he could see him coming behind him, I got very Jaws vibes from that. It was brilliant.
It was that scene when he's flying, you could just see overhead the shadow.
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh, God, this is going to be bad.
It genuinely looked like an Imperial trooper was coming in from Star Wars. It was huge, Yeah, crazy. And then we're going to move to the next scene, which is my thumbnail for today's live, guys. So, it's been a very poignant episode. I did some research this week for thumbnails, and this was all over YouTube. So I thought, okay, it's getting the clicks. I'm going to use it too, which would make sense. Do you think, Baby Ice, Aemond is going to claim that he did this? Or do you think he's going to go back and say, I didn't do it, the dragon had control, I didn't have control of the dragon?
I don't know if he would actually fess up to it, but maybe. I can't honestly answer that, because it seems like he would just go, okay, I settled what I needed to. But then that is what's going to kick off this war, if they find out it was him.
No matter what he says or does, the war is going to kick off. I mean, that's set in stone.
I believe the war's already kicked off when they named Aegon king.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
But they were still in talks of how to move forward. Like, Rhaenyra was more let's see what we can do, But now this just solidifies it's on.
I think they push us to want to see him like Daemon and be this warrior, make you think that he's going to go stand up and say, I did this, and I don't take. But ultimately, I think they've shown in previous episodes that he's kind of a coward. Like, he didn't stand up and do any of the things that he's done unless all of the people who were who would have disapproved were out of the room. Like, he didn't act that way at the dinner until Dad was gone. He didn't act that way at dinner until Mom was out of the way. Like, he didn't. So he's got this coward part in him, I think, that makes me think that he's going to just go home and be like, I don't know what happened. And then he's got this other part of me that thinks he is a little bit like Daemon. And maybe he'll just go home and be like, yeah, I did what I did. What are you going to do about
it? I can't give you my answer on this because I know what he does.
Gotcha.
I know what he does. I can't give you my thoughts because they'd be too...
Yeah.
I probably couldn't lie to you all. And it's hard. So, Headless, what do you think he's going to do?
Oh,
What do you want him to do?
I just want him to own up to it and be like, "Listen, I didn't mean to kill him, but he did, and oh well." I don't know. Like it seems like he might be a liar though. But I hope he goes the other way. I hope he owns up to it. I really do. I think it'll make his character stronger if he actually owns up to that. Like maybe it wasn't technically his fault, even though he's the one chasing him around in the storm, and he can blame the dragon all he wants. But yeah, I hope he owns up to it, but I don't think he will.
Yeah.
Well, I can probably tell you all that we will find out in episode 1 of season 2 what he does. And I can probably confirm as well that we will be in Winterfell when we start season 2. Which is going to be cool because we need to see that journey of the other boy.
Mitchie brings up a good point. I think his sister will know regardless.
I'm just going to say I love Mitchie so much. she is brilliant with the things that she thinks about, and maybe she might be Helena 2.0 herself.
She might be. She may well be terrifying.
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
With the fact, does everybody know in the Targaryen family that they don't control the dragons? Or is that just what Viserys told Rhaenyra?
It's believed that they control the dragon. It's a myth that the Targaryens control the dragons because they are dragon riders.
Right, but does
they have
all
their own
of the
personality.
Targaryen family know that it's a myth?
I mean, yeah. Does Daemon think he controls his dragon? Does
I think that only Targaryens can ride them.
Because my point being,
it's a good question.
If it was a myth, wouldn't you want to tell your family members, "Hey, this is a myth. You can't really control these dragons"?
Would you ever get on a dragon?
Well,
Yeah.
no.
As soon as I get the opportunity, I'm climbing on it. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'd still do it, but I'm just saying, if you know, you have no control over it.
Okay, I know. Hang on. Back this train up for 1 second. Now, listen. I know it would be very easy to say, "Hell yeah, I'm jumping on a dragon." But if you knew you didn't control the dragon and that face was looking at you in the face, I'd be as far away from that thing as I possibly could be. I'd be terrified, running my ass off. So I'm saying, if you thought you controlled it, you'd have no fear of it. If you didn't think you controlled it, you'd have fear of it, but maybe a healthy fear.
Well,
are you fearful if you get on a plane? Because you have no control of that.
Good point, Charles.
What? A plane isn't going to. A plane doesn't look like Godzilla with wings.
I would get on that dragon in a heartbeat.
But that's our modern day dragon, right?
But aren't they telling you that only Targaryens can have dragons and only they can ride them? But if they found out that they didn't actually control them, I mean, then technically anybody could come take the dragons, right?
No, yeah, I don't think so. No, you'd need to be Targaryen to even approach a dragon.
Yeah.
Okay.
To be able to approach it because of the blood, like when Jon Snow approaches the dragons in the final season of Game of Thrones, it senses that he has Targaryen blood within him and it doesn't eat him there and then.
Right.
So I think it's the blood of the Targaryen that the dragon senses. Because even back in the books, like way back, there's stories of interbreeding with Targaryens and dragons, and stuff that can't be aired on TV and all that kind of stuff. So it's it definitely connects through there. But I don't know. They're definitely doing some different things with this show, because as far as I was aware, you could only have one, and Daemon seems to be having as many as he likes. Maybe he's like, "Hey, Daenerys had 3, I'm going to have 5."
Right.
It's pretty great. But we're going to move to this last scene.
I'm still laughing at the plane analogy.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that later.
Yeah. Like, yes, I've flown on a plane a few times.
No, I think
he's pissing his pants right hard.
Damon's getting ready for war, so he's making sure he has all what he can get in his pockets.
Yeah.
So we move to this scene, and I believe that this scene was a time jump. Because it's not. She is told immediately after we find out that he's dead, that he's dead. Mm-hmm. And in the books, it is said that at Storm's End, the people that live at Storm's End and the maids and the maesters and all that kind of stuff, they look up into the sky and they see the red fire, and they see the remnants of the fight that is happening above them in the skies. And then it leads to the maesters and the people going to the docks, and they find Luke's head in the water. They find his head, and they find parts of the dragon, and they then send a raven to Dragonstone to inform Rhaenyra that their son has been eaten, or something has happened to their son and his head has been found in the water.
Mm-hmm.
That's how they find out. So I believe that there is some sort of time jump that has happened in this scene, because now we see the true Targaryen look of Rhaenyra, where she has just had enough. Like, all the way through this episode, she takes blow after blow after blow, and it's only in the very last scene where you don't see her face that her body gives in. She kind of falls down a little bit, and then she turns, and we have this exact scene. I think it correlates with Daenerys in that scene. She's really mad, and she's got the mark on her face. I think it's when she's on the dragon on Drogon in King's Landing. And I'm just going to put it out there, guys, because I've heard people say that Daenerys didn't do what she did. Daenerys didn't burn down the King's Landing. It was Drogon. Now we have seen Vhagar and Arrax do something of their own accord. Could you now be persuaded that Drogon did what he did without Dany's thoughts? Or did Dany really burn down everybody in that city?
Yeah.
Just putting it out there. Because
I mean,
we've seen it. We've now seen it happen.
It's a legit question, but it's something to ponder, but it'd be hard for me to change my opinion on that.
Yeah, and Fidel, hello. You are late, but you're welcome here. Late, early, it doesn't matter. There's always a rerun, and I appreciate you being here, my friend.
Is there any symbolism to the fact that she's not wearing the crown in this moment?
No. Okay. Maybe misplaced in the show. She should have been wearing it.
Yeah.
I don't know if I go back. It might have been sat on the table as we came in. It might have been just sat on the table.
Yeah, and it might have blocked those freaking veins in her forehead that we had to see. Because I'm telling you, that look right there, I'm out. I'm more afraid of that than I am that dragon.
Oh.
Yeah,
I don't think they have to wear their crown all the time, do they?
No, I just was curious if there was any symbolism to it.
And then, guys, that's the end of the slide. That's the Targaryen on the fire. And then there's just my final slide. I want to thank everybody. Dracarys, please like, subscribe, connect with everybody on the panel. I have put everybody's links in the description for tonight that has been on the panel. Jeremy, Mitchie, Baby Eyes, Charles, Headless Ned Stark. Lily's in there too, because I wasn't sure if Lily was going to be coming. But yeah, I'm going to bring down the slide now. And don't forget, guys, to stay milky. But that's the end of the breakdown, guys. So, I don't know. I want to ask you guys a couple of last questions. Are you excited for season 2?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, I want to go to sleep and wake up in 24 hours.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we need it right now, don't we? It's annoying. Yeah. And I apologize to Baby Ice, to Jeremy, and to Mitchie, because I made you and gave you the opportunity to binge watch this show. And yesterday I said on Headless's stream that I am now pleased, and it actually pleases me for you guys to now experience the wait that we all did.
I hate it and I don't like it, and Jeremy lied to me, so he just screwed it.
I don't hate it. I like this because of this anticipation and build up. I love that. But it's not that I lied to Mitchie. I didn't know that she didn't know that it wasn't like they dropped like Netflix does, whatever, Stranger Things or whatever. They didn't just drop the whole season free to watch. They were doing one episode every Sunday. So when we got done with the first episode, I said, "Are you ready for episode 2?" And just kind of chuckled. And she was like, "Yeah, start it." And I was like, No, there is no
next week, next Sunday.
Yeah.
And she was mad at me for like 3 days. Yeah. Like I planned it.
Fidel says we need it next Sunday.
Yes,
that episode was so short, though.
Oh yeah, they could have made it
56 minutes.
Yeah,
it wasn't. It should have been like a 2-hour season finale.
They could have done some things. We all would have
showed us what was going on at the Red Keep or something.
We could have.
Helena never gave us another clue. So
there were 2 hours. If they would have made it 2 hours, they could have filled in some of the gaps, like how they found out and told her Mary at the end, how certain things played out, why Aemon went over there in the first place, or his backstory as to why he went there. So anyway, they could have done a lot more with 2 hours, and I'm surprised that they didn't, just because it's HBO and they can do that if they want to.
They hate
But,
it.
but let's remember the name of this show. Let's remember the name House of the Dragons. When I first started these breakdowns, I told you all so many dragons are coming. I can't wait to see the dragons fight, and I can't wait. And we didn't get that this season. You know, we got little snippets of it, and for us to have the scene that we did, ending the way it did, I'm happy that it gave us the dragon moment that I've been wanting for 10 weeks. That one dragon moment was satisfactory enough for me to not have it in every episode leading up to this.
Yeah.
So, Headless, I want to ask you, you're a Game of Thrones fan, you've experienced these year waits every season. I am correct in saying you watched it from the start, right? Or when did you jump into Game of Thrones?
I think we watched the first 3 seasons. We binged it, and then we jumped in live in season 4. So we watched, so I was 3 years. Well, I guess 3 years late to it.
Okay.
But then, so we started watching live in season 4. But
just as it's getting good, just as it's getting cool,
yeah,
it's hard.
I didn't really know much about it, honestly. Like, it was, I just thought it was another Conan the Barbarian or, King Arthur, and I've seen those so many different times. So I didn't really understand what it was about, really. So
definitely. And Charles, what about yourself? Go ahead, sorry, Atlas.
Well, no, I was just gonna say. So for the season overall, I mean, you said you're waiting for that last dragon scene. I mean, there was a lot of good dragon scenes that we've got, and that might have been the best one. But I still really like. I mean, there's like at least 4 or 5 other ones I really, really like. And I'm really looking forward to doing that video again with you with the top 5 scenes, because I have a feeling some of the dragons are going to be definitely in there for those scenes. As far as Daemon finding out, again, it just goes along with the whole way the show is run in season 1, where there's not that 4-episode
fluid
arc about somebody walking through the woods to get somewhere. Because we kind of went over it yesterday in my stream, where everything that was taking place in this season, it's all within, it's all within, like, at least you can see it on the map at the same time when you scroll on it. It's not like all the way up in Winterfell or all the way up by Castle Black. So it makes sense, that information and the characters can get places a little bit quicker than we saw in Game of Thrones. But overall, like I said, I think yesterday I gave it a 9.5, somewhere in that range. I mean, it's I mean, again, I would have to watch it again from 1 to 10 in about 2 or 3 days, and just really, I want to see what the flow is like when I watch it like that, because I do love Game of Thrones flow so much, because it does, again, it takes longer. It's, the character development is amazing. I had said yesterday that Game of Thrones was just a little bit higher for me right now, just because I love all the characters. And, sometimes it was frustrating. Like, you would go like 2 episodes and not even getting a Tyrion, or you would go 2 episodes and barely get Daenerys. But there was so many good characters. And like by season 4, pretty much everybody was in it, or died at that point. Where this was really based on about 8 core characters, it seemed like. In the beginning, I thought Corlys was going to be a main character. Well, we didn't see him for like 4 or 5 straight episodes. So to me, he's not really a main character. Now, we'll see what happens with him in season 2, considering that in the books you said he was dead already. So I am interested in that. But yeah, I mean, I thought it was, again, I had absolutely no problems with what they did. Maybe I was a little disappointed in episode 9 because of the whole cat and mouse game. Like, I thought that was a little bit annoying, but at least we learned who Eric and Eric was, because I had no clue who those 2 characters were until that episode. But yeah, and just one really quick thing I was looking up while we were talking. So the White Walkers are definitely around, because they've been around for, it says 8,000 years. They have mentioned in Game of Thrones, so they're definitely around. So so take that as what you will.
Fidel, I think he joined just a little bit late, too late. He says here that maybe Baratheon sent a crow. That is exactly what happened in the book. But the Baratheon dude sent a crow over to Dragonstone to tell him what happened.
Yeah.
With the boy, and then he's having an argument with his talk to text on iPhone. So, Baby Ice, final thoughts on the season?
I mean, you know, I was mostly up and down throughout the season. There was the highlights for me. You know, I'm okay with the ending, but I was still shocked they ended it exactly that way. I was like, why? And now, you know, like you and me were talking about it. Now I have to suffer the same pain you did with Game of Thrones. And I'm like, this sucks. So I'm like, why? I go, that's unnecessary. But
it's all by design. I brought you all here under false pretenses so that you watch my channel now leading up to the next season.
yeah. But I mean, you know, like I said, you know, like to go off of what Headless was saying, you know, in Game of Thrones, almost everyone was a lovable character for me except for Cersei's. Hands down.
Mhm.
So, you know, with that, I was like, I was really invested in that. And that's why I was like grateful that I got to see it boom, 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 boom. But now I'm like, again, this sucks because now we got to wait all this time. And, you know, it's like I'm halfway tempted to go read the books. And I'm like, do I really want to do that to myself?
I just did a quick Google search as well because I'm quite I don't know, they might do something like this, but in 4 years' time, Game of Thrones itself will be 30 years old. The first book was released on the 1st of August 1996. So in 2026, it will be 30 years old. So that could be, and that will be leading to the end of House of the Dragon. Look, it could be cool, you know, because end of House of Dragon leads into the first Game of Thrones book that was released 30 years prior. So, I don't know. Stay tuned for that coming forward. So we'll do a quick fire round before we head out. We're almost 3 hours on this live. I thank everybody for being here. I really appreciate it. 3 hours is a long time. Just one last question before we go. Quick fire round. Charles, what do you want to see in season 2?
More dragons, more death, some more character developments. Of course, I want my boy with the mop head, Cornelius.
Cornelius. Yeah.
Yeah.
You said in the book he's dead, but I want him to reemerge and have a powerful role.
You lost Ned on that comment.
Jeremy, what person do you want to see killed first in season 2?
Hightower, Otto.
Otto Hightower, you want to see killed first. Okay, and Mitchie, I was going to ask you what character you want to see more of, but I already know the answer to this question. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to spurt for 2 minutes. Helena, just what do you think about Helena?
Oh, I think she's like the Raven, but something different.
The three-eyed.
Yeah, like a dreamer.
Yeah, and explain that because we got you explain it very well.
Oh, well, that she's like a fortune teller and all this other stuff, and I'm pretty sure she was the baby that was crying.
It make sense.
Okay. I'm pretty sure she'll start off talking normally, and then all of a sudden she starts rambling like she sees something, and it all makes sense.
We've seen that multiple times.
Yes, it goes on to the next episode and tells you what's to come next or later in the episodes.
So, like you explained it to me, you said she said these things.
Oh yeah, well I don't know the exact. Oh, like the beast beneath the floor. That could either mean when the dragon came up or through the dungeon, or it could mean when Aemon came up with the dragon or down with the dragon, and
then green and black,
and the green and then
red and
the red, and where she caught the spider. And then usually that just means I was thinking now when the dragon chomped on the other one, but when they were talking about like losing the eye, about the beetle in the eye or the spider in the eye, and she rambles a lot. But if you listen to her when she does speak or rewind it, then she usually has something to say that's important.
Mitchie always goes back and either and captions what she says, and then it always seems to foretell something else in the future. And we saw it multiple times.
It was talking about the green and then the fire.
Mm-hmm.
And the,
And a book bomb again. She doesn't have those powers in the book, so it's all given to her through the show.
They're going to go with this one.
Yeah.
Yes, I have no idea where they're going with hers, and it's interesting for a fan like me to see what they're doing.
Because when I did first realize that she was foreseeing what was to come, it was when the two boys, her brothers, were younger, and because one with the little eye patch now, and
He'll have to shut an eye. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say I think he had a crush or does have a crush on his sister, where she ended up having to marry her
Oldest brother.
the oldest brother, the dumb one, and it's like Joffrey, and so I think and she was speaking there about the whole dragons and the fire and the greens and all that other
Weaving
stuff.
the green and the red
yes.
and then the fire, and then there was some mention of dragon.
Yeah, and she's been weaving her spider. So I don't know if maybe the spider is like the three-eyed raven or if it's something different.
Just something.
Just keep an eye on her in the future because she has a very prominent storyline coming. It's a very powerful and moving one, and everyone will care about her. So.
I love her already. Like, I want to know more about her.
Mitchie said, and I've come to believe that if she speaks, listen. And hear what
exactly. Every time, every word she speaks, listen with intent.
Yep.
But I can tell you, like, whatever she's been talking about, like, but I do think that the reason she doesn't allow her mom to touch her or anything like that. And she doesn't re-speak her rambles of anything. But I think that her brother listens because he was sitting in that room with her that time.
Oh, Amon, definitely.
And Headless, who are you most invested in as a character going forward into season 2?
Yeah, I'm very interested to see the dynamic between Rhaenyra and Daemon moving forward. Is there going to be any turmoil in their relationship? I'm very interested in Helena because I do feel like that's one character they've kind of touched upon, but she's very underdeveloped right now. So I'm really curious to see that. I'm very curious for Corlys still because he's still alive, and I just hope there's more for him to do. I'm still interested in Kristen Cole, even again, he just is kind of like a pretty boy and just kind of stands there, doesn't do a whole lot. And I'll tell you what, one of the most interesting things I'm going to find in season 2 is I really want to find out, does like the actual like the fire and blood prophecy, like how much does it matter in this show? Like, are we going to find out how much does it matter? If they keep talking about it, are we going to find anything new, or is it just literally just to connect the two shows? So, but that's kind of what I'm looking forward to. So.
Cool. Well, we are literally hitting that 3-hour mark, guys, and I don't want to go over it because I could, like somebody said in the chat, Milky could talk for hours about this, and I don't want to keep everybody from their evenings. I did say this would be a longer stream than usual, and it was the last episode, so I kind of hold that to that. I want to thank everybody on the panel for being here tonight. I've had a fantastic time, and it's very, very in-depth conversation with everybody, so thank you very much. Going forward, where can you see any of us? What are we going to be up to next? So I'm going to share this because I will be with my friend Headless on Wednesday night. Tomorrow I'll be with the Horsemen, but you all know that anyway. So, I'll be with the Horsemen tomorrow hanging out. It's going to be a great night as always. But Wednesday, mark your calendars. I'm going to share it because we have Jackbox games returning on Wednesday. And we're going to be playing with Headless, Jackbox 7, Jackbox 8, Jackbox 9, all those kind of games. It's going to be real fun. The first stream was absolutely fantastic. I didn't realize that we were live for 3.5 hours until it ended.
I couldn't believe it.
It ended. So it's going to be on Headless's channel, guys. Please definitely save that date. It's going to be great. And yeah, I've been Ryan. This has been my final breakdown of episode 10. But fear not, I will not stop with content moving forward. I will find a way to produce and let people know what's going on with this world. I'm probably going to do a weekly update of George R.R. Martin's Not a Blog site. So when he updates the site, I will update you guys on what he said moving forward. and anything like that. And if anybody watching this or listening to this right now has anything that they would like me to talk about or clarify going forward, please reach out to me, and I will do my best to make that possible.
Okay, good. I already did.
Yeah.
I did too.
Yeah, I got loads of messages to check when I get off.
He just sent you a new novel. Yes.
Yeah. In the books, yes.
I've said that that's a discussion that we can have after the live,
Okay.
and there's a reason for it.
Yes, Dad.
No, I'm not saying that. It just doesn't pertain to what we're talking about. And we've been on here for 3 hours.
Dragon Riders.
Yeah, but I have a
I want to thank everybody for being here. I absolutely love everybody. House of the Dragon has made me come out of my shell on YouTube. It has made me have a voice and be able to speak articulately and have conversations with my friends over stuff, because there's only so much you can talk about Funko Pops. It bores the hell out of me sometimes when I'm not interested in them. But hey, I could talk about House of the Dragon all the time. But I usually can't close these shows, so I'm going to ask my fellow midget friend, which isn't Headless this time. I'm going to ask one of my fellow friends to say something.
I count myself so fortunate to be a member of a community that is nothing but all about tolerance and diversity, because no other place could I be standing on a stage like this.
And yeah, he said it exactly right. You guys and everybody in this YouTube world allows me to do these kind of things and allow me to speak. And hey, it's 4 o'clock in the fucking morning in Scotland, and Milky's still hyped, raved, could do this all over again. And don't forget, Milky can't go to bed until he watches his live back, because he doesn't know what he says until he said it. So I have to go back and watch what I said.
Oh, don't do that. Don't do that.
I do that every week, Mitchie. But yeah, I want to thank absolutely everybody for being here, and please, everybody in the chat, connect to everybody in the panel and connect to everybody in the chat. My name's been Milky. I'm just going to take it out from here. We will click the end broadcast button. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.